All right. Shall we cheers?
Yeah, let's cheers.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Cheers, boys.
Cheers, guys.
Challenger stage come to a close.
To Fnatic.
We live?
We're live. Yeah.
Okay, I better drink then.
Yeah, that's all at the same time. Silence.
So first and foremost, fuck Dexter.
Jesus.
Do we start aggressive or no? I don't mean that. I think Dexter is a phenomenal player. I just want to make that very, very clear. Just not very smart on social media.
Wait, okay, I actually
Good
don't
save.
know the reference.
Good save.
With Dexter.
Yeah.
Okay, so we are starting.
Oh, you're
we are starting.
I
starting
didn't
again.
see this tweet. I didn't see this tweet.
So look, we all know. Let's start wider, and we'll come back. I don't want to give
Okay.
the listeners straight away.
Okay, let's start on a positive note.
That's an easy timestamp. 00. Fuck that.
I want there to be a little bit of retention here. No, well, we are joined by launders here this evening. So what is this? The third episode we've done with the guests? Because we had Henry for one. We had Rush for one.
Or two.
Maybe two.
Yeah, but was Henry a guest for one, or was Henry's just standing in for Yanko while Yanko was on vacation?
Well, he was still, I suppose, a guest. He
Okay,
wasn't
we'll count
part
that
of
as
the regular panelists.
Sure.
Right? So we got launders here this evening. Do you prefer to go by launders or Mohan?
I'm Paul at Starbucks, so launders.
Paul at Starbucks.
Yeah.
That's my dad's name.
I'm Jason.
Do you actually say that you're Paul when you order a Starbucks?
Yeah, so Matt Damon in Born Identity, he first finds out that he has like the secret, the safety deposit box, all his passports in it. So he had an Indian passport, and his name was Paul in the Indian passport. That's why I go by Paul.
That's
All
the
right.
next level.
Yeah, nice. So
You're Indian?
Yeah, half. I don't know what was that some kind of bit? Was that a bit? It's my first time here.
wow.
Jason does this every now and then.
Yeah, wait till we get into the fact that Yanko's Serbian. It's crazy, man. Like that is one of the highlights of the show right here. Yeah. No, but we obviously are all here at the major. We discussed going into the challenger stage. We did an episode after we all arrived, and we were talking about the hotel and everything. So, I suppose, what's your general experience been like so far? Because everybody knows ours.
I think it's been insane. It was kind of, I'm sure we all had the same conversations after the days ended where it was like, this is the challenger stage. This is day one. This is day two. I mean, for people who don't understand, like being in the green room or backstage, the whole building is alive 24 hours a day. Like even after the games are over, they're still chanting. They're still going no matter what happens. So it's just like, there's so much energy all the time.
It's an exhausting environment to just be in. Like it is just like draining on the body.
Yeah,
I mean,
so,
it's in a good way.
No, in a good way.
Yeah.
But yeah, like when we cast normally in like stadiums, you kind of gear up for like a big best of three cast, and then you're done, and you only have like 3 days of them. And now I think like your voice was dead, Matt's voice was dead. Your voice must have been.
I'm okay.
You're okay.
We haven't had that many with bias, like the mega bias crowd.
Right,
Ours have been pretty tame. Alex and I. Yeah.
And I don't do like any play-by-play, so I was pretty okay as well. Scrawny was literally holding his chest at the end of the first game when we did in the A stream, and he was barely able to like ramp it like right at the end, and then a fucking sponsor board fell on him. So he's holding the board up
Second
with one
wall
hand.
that's fallen.
He's holding the board up with one hand, and he just kept casting. So I was like, I didn't even look at him because I was like, I'm just going to cast. But then he still kept doing the play-by-play, and then the security guard came out like a round later and then put the board back up for him. But
yeah,
that was part of the
pretty,
job.
Part of the job.
It's
things
real
you gotta deal
sports,
with.
baby.
Yeah, the thing, live broadcast, live TV.
Yeah.
Jeez, that's ridiculous. Yeah.
I know. Matt and I looked at each other after like the first game that we casted in the arena, because the first day we had all the Brazilian teams like one by one.
Oh, you guys did the 4 best of ones and had
That
all.
each Brazilian.
Yeah.
So like we looked at each other after like the first game or the second game. We were just like, fuck, we have 11 more days of this.
Yeah.
Like it's just, again, not in a bad way, but you are just like mentally, you're like, how am I supposed to like manage my voice across 11 days of like playoff style arena commentary?
I mean, the problem is our green room, right? Like where we watch the games and chill is just backstage.
Yeah.
So it's like loud. It's so loud that we can't talk. If we talk like this, we won't hear each other.
Yep.
So even for myself, right, just trying to talk to other people, like to the host about the segment or whatever, like you have to yell, and I had
like
to
in a
take
club.
one of those lozenges. So I'm like talking to you guys. I'm like, well, you must be fucked.
Yeah.
It's just like this for me. Like you have to cast games.
My voice
all day.
broke. My voice broke in game 3. Like it just gave out at one point. I was doing play-by-play, and I just felt it go boop, gone. I was like, "Six."
Yeah, and it's like those. What you're talking about, like Jello revoice.
Yeah,
you take
basically, yeah.
those things are prophylactic. So like you don't use them when your throat's already fucked. You're supposed to use them to protect your throat
Yeah.
before it gets
Oh,
fucked.
whoops.
And none of us saw it
Yeah,
coming.
yeah.
Right? Yeah.
You should like when you're
My mind is
casting.
blown.
I didn't know that. I didn't know that
Yeah,
was the case.
yeah, when you're casting, you can like break them up in half or break them in quarters and have one in your mouth while it's casting because it's just going to constantly keep your throat
really?
coated. Yeah, that's the way you're supposed to do it.
Oh, okay. I thought it was
just had,
after
like,
the
the
fact.
taste.
Yeah, I was just like, yeah, this
It
is
does
to
have,
soothe and
I
help
have learned
after.
to enjoy the taste of shallow revoice.
Such a weird thing. Okay, yeah. So look, I'm sure everybody listening to this has been paying attention to what's been going on the last 4 days, and I think all things considered, right? We will get into the tech issues at one point. That will be a conversation here. Also, probably talk a little bit about the booths. I saw that being a conversation yet again. No,
I'm excited for that conversation.
Yeah, and look, I've had this revelation. It just really depends what kind of mood I'm in. But I realized that the majority of the people at home don't have enough information to form a correct opinion, and it's our job to help them understand, or at least provide them that information. And sometimes I do it in an angry fashion. Sometimes I do it in a little bit of a kinder fashion. I suppose it really just depends on the day of the week. So those things there, I think we can try and start from a sensible standpoint. I think the tech issue one. Look, let's do the positives first. Let's continue with the
Okay,
positives.
yeah,
of the
yeah,
event.
sure.
So I think one of the positives, obviously, was the atmosphere that we were just discussing, right? Like the fact that that's been there from day dot. That wasn't my expectation. Once I had heard that it was going to be several thousand fans at this, I was like, okay, similar to Odense, right? When we've done Pro League there, and that was a great atmosphere, and we're getting that again here, but on steroids, because especially when the Brazilian teams are playing, just how much they're willing to do that. And then I think we've even seen in some of these other games, like the Vitality matchup today that Harry and Hugo were doing. That game had fans cheering for Zaiwu and whatnot, right? So they were getting involved, but they're not going to be as involved as if it was a Brazilian team.
Well, it was cool. They were singing their chant, right? I think that's the main difference with the Brazilian crowd. It's not that they're loud, they're passionate. They're chanting the whole time, right?
The drums beating.
Their drums are beating. They have the song,
Jumping.
so it's like constantly. It is like a match, a sports match, anywhere but the US, because
Yeah, we suck at that shit.
you suck at that shit. But that's what they were singing, a La 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 Vitality song. So I think they'll get into it, right? I know there's worries, if all the Brazilian teams are out, are people even gonna cheer? Like what's it gonna be like? But they find people to get. I remember it was Fnatic played. Did they play OG? I think on the stage 1-0 game or something like that, and people were cheering for Crims. They recognized him from back in the day, right? They were chanting his name as well. You could tell they were getting behind Shiro. Of course, they're chanting against him when he's playing Imperial, but I think he bought a lot of people with that tweet
To Fallen,
to Fallen, which was nice, and
Which wasn't pandering. That's just Shiro as well.
Yeah, that's just he's
Imagine if
respectful
he lied
kid.
and he didn't actually watch his demos. At 1.6.
I didn't believe that part.
next level. but-
Downloading demos back
How old
then.
is Shiro? Is he even alive in
I
1.6?
think he's
No,
like
I was-
12.
Yeah, I
He's
almost
not
made the
10,
joke that he
Jason.
was one.
It's
Yeah.
like, what? Still even alive. No, but we'll get to that later. We got a chance to talk to him with Haku on the desk, like do an extended interview. So
Nice.
Shiro's cool.
Yeah, no, that I think that's one of the
Also,
other
his
keys.
name, Dmitry Sokolov. Such a cool name.
Pretty
man.
cool name. But that's one of the cool things here as well, is which individuals and which teams are going to frame themselves based off of the performance they had in the challenger stage and their legacy, like with Crims, going into the next stage, because there will be teams with support over others. And I think like big names like Simple are going to get support. I was talking to Peacemaker about this today. Like Elige speaks Portuguese, right? So you're expecting him to be a bit of a fan favorite in that regard too. And there's so many different jerseys out there. You're seeing all the different Brazilian pandering jerseys that all the teams have come up with when they're here. Nice way to make a little bit of extra coin. All in all, there's all the food trucks. Like I know that you've definitely been around and seen those, because you and I have been running around doing a bunch of different content. There's shitloads of food trucks. I cannot believe it. There's like 20 plus food
Dude,
trucks out
yeah.
there. It's fucking crazy.
Contrast that to like being at the Cato food trucks, which was like just different versions of sausage and fries, and like 12 different trucks. Like I can only see it cut so many different ways before I can't lie anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, they've got everything. They've got like they've got sausage as well, but they've got ice cream. Look, I don't know why I'm talking about the food, but it's
This
been
is the
pretty
only
good.
event with food.
It's been pretty good though. Like everything's been like for a challenger stage. This is without a doubt the best challenger stage ever, right? Just based off of the crowd and the events and everything like that. Soured by obviously these tech issues. Should we get into that?
Well,
Yeah,
I think we should
you're
go,
very keen to get into it.
I think
so
we should
let's
go
get
from the
into it.
crowd into the cheating thing, which
Okay.
feels like
We could do that.
a logical pacing to take.
Well, this was one that popped off, right? And people with the oohs and the ahs, especially in 1v1 situations, and then players being on high alert when those type of things happen. They're flicking around, they're looking everywhere. Look, that type of stuff in larger crowd environments, it's happened before. It's going to happen again. And the way that it gets framed, right? The community, and this is why, like, I have been really trying to push myself in the direction of not reading what the vocal idiotic minority are saying, because they're not here. They don't understand. They probably have never been to a Counter-Strike event before, and they're speaking like their word is gospel, even though they're just fucking idiots. So, like, look, there was a lot about it. I don't like it when a moment is tainted by the crowd, but I know we all have varying opinions on this.
I don't think. Sorry, you want to go?
No, you go.
I mean, my opinion on it is like I don't think any of that is cheating. Like I don't even mind. Like I wouldn't even call it a tainted moment. That is just, it happens at every single event when the crowd gets louder as some kind of intense situation, whether it's a flank, whether it's a clutch. So I hate the fact that it's been like termed the crowd is cheating for Brazilian teams, because it's like, what are they supposed to do? Like not get excited for this big moment that's obviously coming up? And I honestly I thought it was so overblown, because I thought the situation was handled well by every party involved. I thought like the crowd getting crazy and cheering in those situations is perfect. Exactly what I want from them. ESL saying, hey, this is getting a little bit too much, a little bit too crazy. We can see it starting to influence the game. We're going to turn off the radar. We're going to turn off X-ray. I think that's a perfect way to handle it. And that's exactly how it should be handled. And even the unspoken, like, you know, prevention of observers now starting to switch to the flanks way later, like right before the kill happens, versus watching the buildup of a flank so that the crowd doesn't have the chance. All these things are exactly what should be happening by people in their respective parties. And I was just sat there, remember that night, and I was just like, I can't believe this is just going, so I can't believe it's blowing up in this direction. I can't believe like there's fans just saying there's cheating, like the Brazilian fans are cheating, this is shit. Like I thought it was great.
Yeah, I there's one thing I just don't like about it is, like, have you ever seen that meme? It's like flirting versus harassment, and it's like a good-looking guy, and then, like, you know, someone who's like out of shape or whatever. And it's like when Zippix did it in 2018, when he would just like circle a wall, that was cute, you know.
Yeah.
But when
Olaf
certain
as well.
places do it, it's like, oh, it's not cool anymore. Like, oh, this is abuse or whatever it is. And I feel like it's kind of unfair. It just depends how people are feeling at the moment with certain places.
Yeah, I think people like misjudge it in a sense of the players cannot hear. Like, even if you're yelling, go A, go, or whatever, if they're giving out info of the crowd, which I don't know, I didn't hear anything like it. They can't hear that. They obviously hear like when noise goes up, like when they get excited, just the ooh. But that was every game I ever played on stage, or like my team, whenever we were on stage, you as a coach also wear the same headset and you hear the same thing, right? But that's just part of LAN. The same way you hear when an HE blows up on stream, right? And what Astralis used to do back in the day was they were actually one of the first ones who kind of got wind of that they could use those cues. So they would use nades, like they would throw an HE or a flash randomly. A player would throw it. If he hears it pop in the arena, that means the observer showed it, and he probably showed it because there's someone there. And then when, you know, the observers got onto that, they started
following bad nades.
Also following bad nades, you know, so that you can't take that advantage too much. But I have absolutely no issue. I don't think it's cheating. I think it's ludicrous to call it cheating. They're getting excited because there's only one alternative to that.
Are they
that we become tennis, and that's idiotic, right?
Well,
like for you to have, and also it's idiotic for tennis, but whatever. So it's stupid. Like, people should get excited. It's a part of the game. It's a part of playing on stage, on LAN.
It's a difference
the more
of online and
experience you get, right? Like the more you know how to work with it, work around it, or whatever it is that you want to do. So yeah, I think it was pretty overblown.
I think one of the keys in this type of environment for me is, right, it's a biased crowd, of course.
But wait, sorry, just one more thing.
Yeah.
So I don't know if I talked about this on the podcast already, in one of the earlier episodes. So the Nico Deagle round,
Here we go.
right?
Yep.
In Stockholm, one of the reasons why he didn't wait more was the crowd.
Yeah.
Right, because he understands that if he's on the flank and he starts hearing the oohs, like, that's it, time's running out. And you could tell simple, you know, a player like that is going to turn, he's going to figure it out. So that's why he, you know, maybe didn't take as much time or whatever. So players are aware of this. It's a thing that's been happening ever since we got big crowds and in arenas for big games. So I think it's just fine.
I will say there was a moment in the 0-0 Nation versus Bad News Eagles game where there were two players who were playing sandbag for Bad News Eagles, and the scoreline was 16-3. So how much did this help 0-0 Nation? That's up to you to determine. The crowd was yelling in Portuguese, sandbags.
Okay, well that's cheating.
Yes.
That
They
one's
can't
cheating
hear
for
that.
sure.
They can't hear.
But still, cheating.
Yep.
Right?
still
They-
cheating.
yeah, they should be. They should. Someone should tell them from ESL.
Yes.
You can't do that. If you hear you do this again, we'll kick you out of the venue.
And
Yes.
I think in Galas as well, I think made an announcement in the arena to stop.
Yeah,
that
and they
shit
even had
too at one
Fallen
point.
as well,
Yep.
right? They even had Fallen as well. I was
like
reading.
day 2 or 3, I think.
Yeah, I was
that
reading.
stuff does actually make a huge difference.
does, yeah.
Taz came on stage and said, "Stop booing Olaf Meister."
Yeah.
Like that worked. So, yeah, that is really important. There's a lot of layers to this because number one, compared esports to regular sports, we travel all over the world and we have different stadiums with different types of people. In any homogenized place, like this is a Portuguese speaking crowd. There is no reason we would want like English casters in this arena in a country where people just don't speak English, but you still want to come to Brazil. So it's just comes with the territory, obviously.
Yep.
I think like obviously in esports as well, imperfect information means there's more ways to cheat. People cheat in regular sports too when it comes to live events. It's just to a lesser degree, but it is
Deflategate.
just not much we can do about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, the other thing is that it's the vibrations, and that's the reason that soundproof boosts don't make a difference, because it's the vibrations that will always get through, whether it's soundproof or not. And when people think that they can hear what people are saying in the crowd the same way you can hear it on the stream, it's not true. If you put on one of those like Ace Zone headphones and they have white noise being pumped
Yep.
in, and you're actually thinking about winning the round as opposed to thinking about cheating, you don't hear shit.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
I think the players who came out when you made your tweet about booths being stupid.
Ethan was one.
Yeah, there was a lot of them though.
Even Acor came out.
I think
and was like-
Carrigan
Yeah.
said some like they were saying like they prefer the open environment.
Yeah.
And that was the standpoint as well of ESL. I know that they wanted the players to be in that more exposed environment, right? Because us as a viewer, we get to see, and for them as a player, they're now in the thick of it, right? And I think that's a key as part of this. And the booths, you may as well, if we want to do that, let's just play online Counter-Strike. Right, in my mind, let's just play online Counter-Strike, or let's just play from hotel rooms.
Yeah.
Like, what are we doing?
Yeah, let's also talk about like some of the there's a laundry list, I think, with booths. Not just that like the vibrations even still go through and you can still feel them, but like the fucking physical and emotional barrier that it causes, like that players no longer feel like they're in the environment and feel that energy fully. Like, I mean, not even from a competitive aspect, but like you take away so many cool moments that we've had, like Stewie jumping up on the table after winning the Grand Slam, the player like Keto fucking standing up and cheering
was a
and getting the
great
fingers
shot.
back. Yeah, it's it's such a beautiful shot, and you put them in a booth and you don't get that. You don't get Kerrigan playing with the crowd during a live game because he realizes like there's no point. He's not going to receive any energy back from it.
Every dossier picture ever taken.
True.
Just chilling.
Just licking his lips.
Yeah.
Just licking his lips.
Hard to argue with that one right there. Yeah, so I think that most of us, at least of the initiated variety, understand, and the people at home who are like, oh, this isn't Counter-Strike. It's like, no, it is. It's just arena Counter-Strike, right?
Yeah.
And the top players need to acknowledge that, and thus the reason why experience, when we talk about it, is important, right?
Yeah.
Because being able to either use the little details Janko was talking about, or understanding that wave of the crowd noise, all of these things are important to be playing on a stage. So that all needs to be kept in mind. I think that what you were mentioning with the observers, either not showing the flanks or turning off X-ray in 1v1 situations, because let's face it, the crowd are glued to the screen. They're not processing the information in the same way we are with Counter-Strike here and the radar up and this, that, and the other is we're dialed into it. They're kind of just absorbing what's directly in front of them.
I talked to Carmax. There's just one thing that was a problem was like, the Gallus complained a bit because they like kind of made him turn off the radar and the X-ray, right? But the
Yes.
problem is he isn't only going to the arena. He's
Yeah,
going to
this
like
was an issue.
300,000 people watching him from home. So then those people start. But I think now they came up with a solution where just the in-house
Feed.
was without like X-ray or
Yep.
something like that. Like they found a middle ground, so they even managed to sort that out.
That should have been the case
in
from the
end.
beginning. That's
Yeah.
just an oversight.
Yeah.
That's an oversight. I don't think there's too many ways around that. That's 100%.
But he did the dickhead thing where he like did the victim mentality for Brazilians. That was my only issue with it. Like, because I agree with him. That is a problem that ESL shouldn't have had from the start. They should have had like that separate stream so they could do it. But when you go out and you say like, what did he say? It was like us Brazilians are used to it being all this kind of stuff being much more difficult difficult for us than other people. And it's like, man, I was fucking. We were talking to ESL in like 2019, even pre-COVID, about these measures that they've had to kind of control the crowd. This is when they came up with the idea to develop it. It's not because we're in Brazil or you guys are Brazilians. It's just because this is probably just the most high-profile moment it's happened. Because I know they've done it at other events as well. They did it in Dallas, as far as I know.
We needed to bring this in because of things that happened in like Udense, right? With the crowd obviously favoring Astralis. And we were discussing different ways. And you're right, we've been talking about this for years, recording like PSAs with players going, hey, don't do this, and trying to help coach the crowd into understanding the etiquette of the game, right? And we're never going to get it right bang on. There's always going to be a couple of dickheads out there who bring a sign that says A or B, and a lot of the time that's false information anyway. And if you can play a game of Counter-Strike and pay attention to that, fucking hell.
Yeah, I think that is the big thing, honestly. Like, I think after it was like the fall final, we could talk about that because I was, casting there, and like the heroic Astralis match and everything like that. I have a lot of thoughts about this, but one of the big things was after every game, when I talked to a player from both teams, the team who won said you can't hear anything, and the team who lost said that there was cheating.
Yeah, you remember this? I remember we messaged different players.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And it was different responses. I think the curious thing about that was like it wasn't consistent. Like from game to game, it's like, okay, guys, like.
My theory was that like the team who was losing probably quiet on the comms, not paying attention to the game, and then just absorbing what was coming at them, and probably felt like they were losing.
And also in much more emotional situation too, when you lose that match and then you get like 100 tweets that is like, oh, we heard the crowd like cheating for Astralis or cheating for Heroic. Yeah, and then you like kind of just get it in your head because you're already pissed off and you're more susceptible to like believing and accepting that actually affected the impact.
I feel like one thing that could potentially happen is like you can't hear through the headset, but when you press push to talk, then the mic can pick up maybe something, but you have to take it into account. If someone's doing that purposefully, like that's so much noise constantly going into everyone's ears, right? Like you're trying to maybe hear the crowd or whatever, but you can't hear the game then at all. So that, again, it wouldn't work that way either.
Yeah, I know I spoke to some players at this event that you're referencing, and one of the teams had a Danish player. It wasn't a Danish team. And they were...
Hands.
Guys, I'm not going to tell you what team it was. And they said that they could hear the crowd yelling in Danish as to what bomb site it was going to be when they were playing against Danish teams. Which, look, could be the exact same situation as what you're talking about. They're losing, they're sitting here, maybe they're digesting this information a little bit more so. And we'll never truly know, because even if TOs record the team speak, right, and picking up what you're saying, right, we're never going to get that delivered to us to understand what maybe was coming through these comms. So we kind of just have to take these players at their word, and that's not always gospel, as we've learnt recently.
Okay. I feel like a transition in our future. That's well done.
Like that.
That's why he gets the big bucks.
So, look, I want to address this one here. Are we done with the crowd and the booths?
Yeah, I'm all good, baby.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So this one here is a fun one to me. So the situation with the technical issues, there's always a lot of technical issues at Counter-Strike events, right? Whether it's a microphone issue, a TeamSpeak issue, a PC issue, a network issue, somebody kicked a power cable issue. There's always issues, right? These are PCs. They're finicky things, and especially as far as Counter-Strike is concerned, if we go back in major history, what gets pushed before a major is the update to do with the stickers and maybe a little patch. And the game isn't tested after that patch is pushed, right? That's the
usually
way
happens like the night before it starts as well, is when the major version is pushed.
So there's always issues that tend to crop up. One of my favorite, and I use favorite loosely here, is the sense that back in Face It 2018, when the update was pushed, it caused an issue with Inferno and the footsteps on Inferno, and you couldn't hear the footsteps of players running around you on Inferno. And we had timeouts that went forever. Because I remember I was filling throughout those those technical issues. I remember vividly. So one of the things with this event that's been happening there was consistent technical issues in the first couple of days, which have been resolved since, contrary to what people from OG would have you believe. The tech issue that plagued Degster on day one is different from the tech issue that happened to Fiku and Shiro. And the tech issue that happened to Fnatic is different from all of those other 2 occasions. Now, I know there were other drops that were associated similar to the Fiku and Shiro ones, but they were in situations where either it didn't matter, it was in freeze time, or they were already dead in a round, so it was easy to restore and it didn't impact it. But the Shiro and Fiku ones are clearly at the top of the list versus Greyhound and versus Furia, respectively, here. So let's digest some of these here, because I've been trying to get as much information as possible to talk to the people at home, because I think it's important for there to be some level of transparency. I'm a little bit disappointed that ESL react slowly in getting this information out, but understandably so, they want to get all the correct information before they're presenting that to the public, right? Whereas players, they don't think that way. They're young men, right? They're young, impressionable men who have thousands of people following them on Twitter and Instagram and everything, and know that they can garner community support by making some uneducated tweets and bending the truth a little. So let's start with the Degster situation, and then we'll go from there. So for those who aren't aware, it was against...
Australian or Russian?
Degster the Russian. Was against Australians.
Nice.
Was against Australians of Greyhound. Now, if I remember, Greyhound were up like 4-0 at this point, and there were some issues with Degster's PC. So then there was a lengthy timeout. Lasted almost 2 hours, 90 minutes to 2 hours, right? Very long timeout to be sitting here and dealing with. And by Degster's own admission in his tweets, ESL changed out the cabling, multiple PCs, and multiple monitors, and the issue persisted. Long story short, the troubleshooting, as far as I understand, came down to the point that Degster in his launch options was putting FPS max 0, which on a PC that is decent can get you over 1,000 FPS. And I don't know if you guys watch 3 Clicks Phillips stuff, but he showed with his new 4080 that he had or whatever, or maybe it's a 4090, I don't know. 3 Clicks Phillips is a pretty wealthy man. That if your FPS is over 1,000, it will cause stutters within the game. Now, from what I understand, that was the issue that Degster was having. I'm not saying there's a 4080 in these PCs here, but we all know that Counter-Strike's a processor game, right? And it's not a graphics card game. And these PCs, I think, have, what is it, 12... What's the processor? 12900. The Ks? I don't know the fucking Intel. Whatever. Is that a chip? Is that a thing?
Yeah, that sounds right.
Skylake, fucking.
Is it is 12900K?
Let me
like
pull up the Google.
I think it's what the shuttle in Interstellar is running on.
I'm pretty sure it's 12900K, and the because we have tournament PCs in the room that ESL have set up for us here.
12900K is a processor.
So that's the processor.
12th generation Intel.
That's the processor.
Make sure you support Intel, who's supporting gaming.
And
Specifically this event. Yeah.
And the cards, the graphics cards are 2080 Supers from what I was looking at, right? So those are the PCs, and this was the issue. So when they were changing the PC or changing the config, Degster was still putting, as far as I understand, the launch options back in with FPS _ max 0, which was causing him to get high FPS because he uses low res. He's an AWPer. We all know that's the meta. And low settings, so he was getting high
bars for life.
Yep. And it was causing issues, and guess what? They sat for 90 minutes, and then they ended up winning the game and blowing Greyhound out of the water, and it was all over. And there wasn't too many issues, right? You think, okay, that's dealt with. But it starts to crop up and continue. Oh, actually, just quickly, on the flip side of that, if you're OG and you know what the tech issue is, you know Dexter's sitting here and he's trying to fix his shit, you at least have information. If you're on the other side and you're Greyhound, you understand there's a problem, but you're sitting waiting and you're the ones in the lead. This isn't acknowledged by people like Dexter, right? You're the one with
the score.
4-0.
They just got fucking... Oh, at the end?
No,
when the tech issue happened.
I think it was like 4-0, right?
For
It might
Greyhound.
be. Yeah.
Right.
I'm pretty sure. Let me double check. But like I look at this, right, and I see how this plays out. This affected Greyhound just as much, if not more, than it affected that of OG. Because they're the ones who have to sit there in the darkness, not being able to do anything, sitting, waiting, wasting their fucking time, while this issue that was Dexter's, right, because the PC was too good, right, was giving him 1,000 FPS and causing the issue. Okay, so that in itself is the isolated drama. Everyone happy with that? Any comments at this stage?
Yeah, FPS max 0 is the dumbest command you could possibly have.
Put it on 999.
I put it on 400.
Yeah, that works too.
Yeah,
Do you need more than that?
you don't need more.
Isn't it supposed to be 240 as the
Oh,
monitor?
fuck off, Yanko.
Or what was it?
Actually, I
The
tell a
human
lie.
eye can only...
I tell a lie. The score was 4-0 in favor of OG.
Yeah.
Okay.
Does that change anything?
Not really. I just wanted to make sure I got the facts straight here.
It only changes the tilt factor or whatever. Or
Yeah.
like having to wait through.
But you're already winning 4-0. And then they went on to win the half fucking 12-3.
Yeah.
Makes it worse.
So how much did it affect him?
Yeah.
I think
I just have a quick comment, Chad.
Yes.
I have a quote
Okay.
for this situation for you.
perfect.
A lie travels halfway around the world before the truth has a chance to put its boots on.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. The damage is already done with Dexter's tweets. So this is where we get to the point where he went on a little tirade of tweets.
Why did I think about that for so long?
But I want to bring this up here just quickly because I got called an ESL bootlicker and a lot of these like these fans of players, right? So just remember,
Nico
guys.
fanboy. Oh wait, that's me.
I just want people at home to remember that this is a 21-year-old young man, right? I just want everyone to remember that, right? Just so everyone understands that this is the people that you are believing as
Just
gospel.
call him a man child. You want to say it so much. You're just
He's literally 9 years older than Shiro.
So this is this is his initial tweet, right? And somehow I also want to point this out as we're having shits and giggles here. Dexter's tweeting in the middle of a match somehow.
what?
He tweeted in the middle of a match.
No.
Yeah, during the tech issue.
Well, I mean, they gave them back
Oh,
their phones
yeah,
because
because you
it
have to
was
log
so
into
long.
Steam.
Yeah, but
as
he
well, too.
tweeted. What's he doing tweeting? Focus on the fucking issue. What are you doing tweeting, bro?
Oh, come on, Chad. It's an hour and a half. Like, and he's not tech expert. He doesn't know what the issue is. Like,
Well, it's quite clear he's not a tech expert. Okay, ESL, changed 3 PC, 2 monitor, 3 cable. I even changed my config and I still crash. Soon you will see the longest BO1 of all majors. That was during the game. That's what he said initially. So I just want to make this clear. By his own admission, ESL were trying to fix the problem. Does everybody agree with that sentiment?
Yeah.
Yes,
I know.
Your
I
Honor.
know where you're going with this.
Okay,
one.
cool.
know
I want to
is
set
leading.
this
I
cunt
see
up for
where-
a fucking fall.
Okay.
I've been so angry at this shit. It's fucking ridiculous.
You need to do yoga, bro.
Or I need people just not to be fucking idiots.
or masturbate.
Okay, so
Silence after
More.
that one.
you can go read
More.
his slew of tweets, everybody, if you would like. That's all good. That's open for everybody to get away with. Here we go. This is the one that tilted me off the face of the fucking planet. I just hate to see that we are... No, also English, not his first language. I just hate to see that we are playing major and we have...
Unnecessary roughness.
I don't give a fuck.
15-yard penalty.
And no. And we have this problems, and tournament organizers doesn't do anything to help players and teams. I just want to bring it up. By his own admission, less than 10 tweets earlier. Come on, guys, this is a serious topic for me, man. Oh, this is a serious topic for me.
This is a moment. Wait, give him a chance. Take a breather.
I'm
Take a breather.
sorry, Chad. I'm sorry.
Emphasizing the
I-
past tense.
I
was
mean,
just, that was too
I
much.
moved the mic away. But
We don't have cough buttons on this setup. We're still amateur.
Okay.
the problem is just. I'm sorry, but it reminds me of this bit by Bill Burr when he. You know what I mean? When he's
Talks
sitting
about
there,
football.
it's about sexual harassment, and he's there, and like talking about when someone says no, but then then it's like, oh no, honey, like oh no, that's
yeah,
but then
yeah.
when you go in front, then you go to court, and there's a guy reading it, and it's like, no, do not do it to me. Well, she didn't say it like that. I don't know. I just lost it today. I'm sorry.
It's been a long week. It was a long day.
Yeah, we're having some beers right now, so it's understandable.
Anyways, Chad, get back on your pedestal.
Do you want to read it again?
No, I don't need to read it again. But long story short, he said that essentially ESL and the staff at ESL are doing nothing to resolve the issue. But by his own admission, less than 10 tweets earlier, he said that they were trying to fix the problem, right? Now, that's where I take the biggest drama. And I made a tweet in reply, like, why are you skewing the truth on social media? Because he is. Like, that's not true. To accuse ESL of not trying to fix the problem, the entire concept of them running an event as a tournament organizer is to run literally the smoothest event possible without any issues. Do ESL want any tech issues? No. Do I want any tech issues? No. Do any of you motherfuckers want any tech issues?
No.
Yes, Sim, I'm losing.
Okay, well, we all mean no, right? But the point is, nobody wants any tech issues. And then for Dexter to make that tweet, which he doesn't realize what he's doing there, but I have empathy for other human beings. It's strange, right? It's weird. Normally I don't, but when it comes to, things around the Counter-Strike world, I tend to have a little bit. And I'm friends with a lot of these people. And these are individuals who work motherfucking hard to make sure, everything is working. ESL have literally set the standard that everybody else in the entire Counter-Strike world uses. A rulebook. Valve fucking used the ESL rulebook to help write their major rulebook because they didn't fucking have one. ESL sets this bar. Michał fucking Slavinsky is the guy who has made all of these rules that have been adopted by the majority of other TOs.
GOAT.
Yeah, and that's the truth. And to say that nobody from ESL was helping is bullshit. And that is what my tweet was about. That he is skewing the truth. That is not true. They were doing everything they could. Michał stayed up. He had 4 hours sleep trying to problem solve whatever the tech issue was that was having players drop.
Yeah.
Not the Dexter initial one. We know what that was, FPS_max0. But the other one they were trying to resolve. They don't know what was happening. They were trying multiple different fixes. And of course they don't want it to happen because not only does it fuck everything up from a reputational standpoint, our days all get longer. And those guys' days are already fucking long enough. So this bit right here pissed me the fuck off. And the damage is done. Like the people who are 16-year-old kids who love these players and everything they say are not the ones who are going to listen to this podcast and are going to go, yeah, okay, Chad's right. The people who are listening right now, you're already the reasonable folk who want to be educated about this shit. So we're going to give you some more information about these tech issues. But this one here, that's why I made that tweet, is because it's not fair to say that these people aren't trying to help. They are trying to help.
Yeah, and I think especially with an event of this scale that has this kind of an opening in this stage that's never been done before, like it's like the ESL staff, you can talk to like every department from like travel to player management to obviously IT and league ops and everything like that. They're all fucking exhausted. Like everyone is having everyone's like workload has multiplied exponentially, having essentially what is a playoff event inside of an arena instead of 3 days, like Friday, Saturday, Sunday, or Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, is now 12 days of it. And it makes everyone's job harder. And the scale of this event is just massive across every sense.
Yeah. And I mean, it's high stress for everyone. It's a high stress job for talent. It's a high stress job for players. And then it's just tons of work for all of the production, all the moving parts. But I think there is something to be said about just like when we assume there's like malintention, it's like a very common thing that people do.
Yeah.
Where it's like all you have to think about is like, what is the incentive here?
Yeah.
And if you can figure out what people's incentive is, you wouldn't assume that they're going to try to fuck you over.
Why would they want to sabotage it?
Yeah, and that's why when you point out that he's younger, that makes sense because that's something you think about more, I guess, as you get a little bit older. But it's that simple. You don't really have to think about, are they trying to help you? It's what are they trying to do for themselves?
Well, also, all the thousands of people that work on these events, the entire purpose of having this many people working this hard is so that the players don't have to focus on any of it. Like, the entire point is that the players just get to focus on the game. That's at the heart of the competition, is to be like, we want the players to show up and not have to think about anything about plugging this shit in, getting ready, and playing the game as best they possibly can. We don't want them to be distracted by any of the bullshit. And obviously, it's happened here, which is unfortunate. But like the goal and the reason that all these people are working on the event is to make the player's life as easy as possible already as it is.
Not to go too deep or anything, but what Chad described, and that he has like empathy. I think like the lack of empathy and people just thinking me is like, and thinking only from their point of view is one of the deeper issues I think in society today, right? But it's also like it's really ungrateful in a way, right? Like there's hundreds of people working at this event, for you to be in a 5-star hotel and just play the game, and there's everything's organized for you.
3 meals a day,
food sorted out, drinks, like you can just sit there and play the game. And there's this thing called force majeure, right? Like it's a higher power, sometimes something happens. Like you don't know what it is. If ESL knew what it was, it wouldn't have happened in the first place. It would be in the rules. If it's something that they've seen before, it would be fixed in 2 seconds, right? Like it's obviously, they're doing their best. And I think it's just like ungrateful to just lash out like that on social media, because you need to know better as a player that, you have power. Like you said, there's a lot of fans or, kids who just, kind of follow their idols or whatever the players, they take their word as gospel. And if anything, to be honest, OG shouldn't allow that to happen as an org. For their players should be better than that, like better media trained or whatever. And I'm not sure if it's maybe because they're not, a partner team with TSL, actually. OG isn't. If they were, maybe they would be, more careful about that, or they would have been briefed.
Yanko, the event that they are a partner team for, in the contract with the event, they aren't actually allowed to tweet shit about Blast events. Who would have thought?
Dun dun dun. Yeah, but so yeah, I think it's just that it kind of sucks to see that. You should just be more aware.
Yeah, but stuff like that even happens at Blast. Like there was I think it was during the groups, a player tweeted about monitor arms not being there in the practice rooms.
Yeah,
And-
that was phase.
Yeah, and then I mean, Blaster they're a pretty small company, but they really do try hard. Between the employees there, and basically they told me, they're like, just like, Jesus, why did you have to do this to us? Like, we would have replaced these monitor arms if the player just told us.
Tell
But
your
instead,
manager.
they
Your
went to-
manager tells us.
Yeah,
it's
went to
fixed.
Twitter first, and then they obviously still replaced the arms, but like even just the thought that they wouldn't have done it unless they tweeted, that is the nuclear option.
Yeah.
To go for Twitter, it really it makes everyone look bad, and now you create animosity between you and the tournament organizer, and then the tournament organizer and the community, and
Yeah.
everyone's supposed to be working together.
Yeah, and that's the thing that I don't understand is like Mark Winther was tweeting at him and like, let's have a conversation, right? That's it. Have a conversation. These people will listen to you. They want to do everything within their power to please you. Like that is without a doubt the fact of the matter. They will do everything they possibly can to make sure your life is as easy as possible and you can avoid all these issues and they can fix it for the future. And that's the bit that just bothers me. It's like you're just trying to garner sympathy from a bunch of fucking people you don't know on the internet with likes and retweets.
In his defense, I don't think. I mean, I agree that's probably subconsciously what he was doing. I don't think he like made the tweet. It was probably just out of frustration more than saying I want some sympathy.
Well, here's a fun one,
but,
Jason.
Like, definitely subconsciously, I think that's probably at the root of it.
I made that tweet. On the day that I made that tweet, several players from other teams came up to me, right, in passing as I'm walking through the venue. And I'm not going to name their names. I'm not going to give them away to
We
the
don't
rest
name
of the
names in
world.
this group.
Jason,
Passed you the bottle opener.
the bottle opener's at your feet somewhere. But they came up to me and they like laughed about the tweet that I made and they said, yeah, Degs is so arrogant, right? And like I was like, well, I didn't expect that level of response here. But I had that happen from several players and it's like, as I said at the start of the show, I think the guy's a phenomenal player. I just think this is not the way you use your social media. Like you need, look.
Obrigado.
And again, thanks, Jason. I'll join that queue.
Yeah, I got you.
And again, like I think that tech issues are bad and they shouldn't exist, and they do compromise matches when it crops up, especially in the Shiro and the Fiku situations, right? But nobody wants that to happen. That's the clearest point of this. Nobody wants that to happen.
Well, if you're talking about social media and players, we had that big crash for Fnatic.
Yes.
In the game against
Outsiders.
Outsiders,
On
yeah.
Overpass.
Right? So I was also surprised. I saw that the round was being reset when they crashed in at 3v4. So I'm asking like to the production to ask the league ops, why is the round reload? Like
Did you
that
find
would
out?
be bad. Yes, because it's actually in the rule book that if 3 or more players crash due to like
subset.
a power outage, let's say, or some like big crash, that then also a round is replayed regardless of whether damage was done or not. So that's actually
didn't know that.
because I didn't know that either, and obviously Nexa didn't either because he tweeted out then like,
Oh, funny that. They could have talked to ESL
See,
about it.
I didn't know that either, and I was casting the game. So the problem for me is that I thought that this was a black and white rule, that if damage had been taken, then you can't restart the round. So what I went and said on the broadcast, because nobody told me anything, was that they must have asked for outsiders, and outsiders must have said, or they maybe outsiders offered to reset because it was so severe, but that didn't happen.
It goes deeper than this.
in my opinion, like just in general, teams should never be asked.
No,
that.
that's what I mean.
Right?
They weren't
Like,
even
so-
asked, but I had to assume that they must have offered because it was so apparent that clearly something crazy happened.
But it goes deeper than this, right? Let me just read out, because there was a statement from ESL that ended up on dust2.us, right? And in the quote, it says, the match between Fnatic and Outsiders had 5 Fnatic players disconnect at the same time due to a power issue in the tournament, in their tournament box. The ruling to restart the match was done on the basis of section 2.10.3 match interruptions in the rulebook of IEM Rio 2020, which can be found here. The rule applied states that if the issue takes place during the round after damage has occurred and the outcome of the round cannot be determined, e.g. due to server crash, the match will be restored to the beginning of the round. This differs from the ruling used in the matches where players such as Shiro and Fiku crash during the round. The rule used in these cases where a single player disconnects states that if the issue takes place during a round and after damage has been made and the outcome of the round can still be determined, e.g. single player has dropped out but others remain, then the round will not be replayed or restored. The round will continue to be played and will count. Special exceptions can be made if the damage dealt was ruled insignificant, e.g. accidental team damage dealt at the start of the round, or if the damage dealt was by the team that was affected by the crash.
For those of you listening at home, Chad did that by memory. He's not reading that off the rule book.
Yeah, see, that's how much I read. But honestly, so what happened was a member of Fnatic accidentally hit the power, which, if I'm going to be critical, should not be a possibility in itself. It should be taped. It should be whatever. I don't know how he kicked it. It should be...
I've actually never heard of that happening before, like an ESL event.
Unless it's like...
Not by accident, anyway.
Yeah, true. But
old tricks.
All 5 of them shut off. It wasn't just the 3 who were alive in that situation. It was all 5. And the reason that it had to be replayed was because Counter-Strike doesn't have any data to do a round restore, right? So there wasn't enough data in the round for them to even do to push it forward. So they had to restart the round. All 5 players crashed, and that's the reason that happened compared to the Fiku situation, the Shiro situation, where they dropped mid-round, and the round was still able to be played out with everybody else who was still alive. Now, does that suck for OG? Does that suck for Cloud9? Yes, 100%. But... right? Then this is where you move to the next point. I believe Dexter was trying to argue the fact that rule of damage being done and the rounds getting replayed, right, was something that he was trying to argue that rule should be changed. And I don't know how many people are familiar with Pandora's box, but the amount of bullshit that could be opened up if that rule was to be changed and we just take players on their word and they're not going to do anything nefarious and they're not going to try and cheat and bend this, there is so much bullshit that would be possible if that was tweaked. The reason the rule is like this is because people in the past, and we know some of these motherfuckers, who will intentionally do things to get it restarted. I remember back in the day in like 1.6, if there was a crash or whatever within the first 3 rounds of play, you'd restart the whole fucking game.
Yeah. That was the same rule.
It's fucking crazy.
So you lose the pistol, and then you accidentally press the power button on your PC.
Yeah, somebody maybe from Navi once upon a time did that, I heard.
I can't remember.
Yeah, it starts with a Z.
Ends
with an oos.
I had fuckers do it like in local lands, so...
I didn't know you played for Virtus, bro.
I just think we needed to, like, it was fucking 15 years ago now, so like at this point, who really gives a fuck?
Yeah, who does give a fuck?
This shit did happen, right?
It's all good.
So it's not like, anyway, there's a reason the rules are the way the rules are. And if Dexter wants to try and argue that, then sit down and come up with a better rule, right? Come up with a solution. Don't just say, no, it shouldn't be like this. Like, come up with a better solution to all this. So the Fnatic situation, there we go. We've explained that. And here's the thing. The people at home, every time they see a tech timeout, they're expecting it to be the same case that affected Fiku or affected Shiro. They don't know that it's just a mic issue or that it's completely unrelated. They don't know, and the fact that the communication isn't immediate, and as you said, you weren't told anything by production of what was going on. I'm sure they weren't told anything by League Ops because League Ops was trying to fucking fix it. And at that point, by all the breaks in the chain, it's already too late. Like, the damage is already done. And then when players follow up, like with tweets like Dexter's doing, it just does so much damage. And it's like, bro, what are you doing? Like, your issue, you're trying to conflate that with the Fiku issue. And not only that, the Fiku issue happened in the 3rd round of the game against OG that then went to overtime. You lost the whole game because of that round that went to overtime?
Yeah.
Really? Really? You think you lost the entire game?
I think also if you're OG and just for Dexter to see him like tweet that or just behave that means it like gets to him on some level. And on some level he attributes something to that. And you hate to see that because it's a distraction, right? Like, you would have loved the player to have the attitude, shit happens, like you have to adapt, adjust, and keep rolling. Sure, you shouldn't be in a position where you need to adapt to having a tech issue. We agree those shouldn't happen, but if they do, that shouldn't affect your state of mind as much as it seems to have been doing, where you're like clearly frustrated, perhaps even in that game after the issue happens. I mean, we heard it even from Fnatic for Crims. It happened. He tweeted out that he was way too frustrated in the game against outsiders and that he needs to do better. And even in the interview today, he said the same thing, right? That he should know better. He's been playing the game for 15 years and can't let his emotions overcome him, which is absolutely true. So hopefully just for his own sake, it's something he will work on.
Mate, Dexter's out here putting videos on the internet calling ESL admins liars.
I didn't see that.
I saw it. I'm fucking catching all of this shit, mate. Because I'm just constantly being tweeted at the moment, being called like an ESL bootlicker and, fix the fucking issues.
Could be worse, Chad, believe me.
Oh, no, I know. You're copping some shit as well. But the thing with this is it's like, mate, I first of all, the tweet that I made had nothing to do with tech issues. Nobody knows my opinion on tech issues, like at that point, right? And of course, my opinion is it shouldn't exist. If we can avoid them, we should. And we all know shit happens, and it sucks, and it's bad. And yes, I get all of these points. But my biggest qualm and the thing that just made me so mad was all these people who work fucking hard to make this a possibility.
18-hour days, 19-hour
cop
days.
the strays because this guy's an ignorant dickhead and he doesn't want to talk to people about it, and because he's a fucking kid.
Yes, but also, it's not his problem.
No, but
how long
will
other
be.
people work, like, to be
No, I know
fair
that,
as
I
well,
know
right?
that.
Like, and all of that stuff that shouldn't really concern him. But regardless of that, doesn't mean that you should treat that way or behave that way. For players, they're just there like to play the game. We know that, and we feel like that because we work with these people and we see them every day, right? And we're friends with some of them, right? But for players, not as much.
All right. Well, as the man taking minutes, we've spent now 27 minutes on the tech
I
issues.
didn't go as hard on him as I wanted to.
It felt like you. I think you accomplished your goals.
You should have had one more beer before.
He'll be thinking about this for a while.
Well, he's not going to listen to this shit.
They might. Probably
I
not.
don't know, man. It's just like
We'll tag him.
I just
Say,
hate.
listen to this, you bitch.
I just hate the way that I get framed.
dare you.
Skip the
I
22
double
minutes.
dare you, motherfucker.
I hate the way that I get framed out of all of this because somebody he was like, I just want to make this clear. To say that they were doing nothing is unequivocally a lie. Not skewing the truth, a lie. So if anybody's lying, it's him.
So why didn't you call him a liar then in your tweet?
Because there was no point following up. The barrage of fucking clowns was already there, man. I've blocked 100 people in 2 days.
Blapperball probably 1,000.
Yeah. Wow.
What did you do? What is this?
I asked if Bad News Eagles are the best CT-sided team in the world.
As a genuine question, which I think they probably are, one of the best CT-sided teams in the
probably
world. Yeah.
Yeah,
Why would he say that, Launders? Why would he say that?
that's insane.
Because they went on a 10-round streak to beat Big.
Yeah.
12.
I feel like
Yeah.
that was a compliment that you were giving Bad News
It
Eagles.
was a compliment.
Yeah. Well, fair enough. So
And I've been taking it up the ass ever since.
Someone when I made that tweet about like the soundproof booth thing, you always get the response from the Brazilians that's like they were saying like you need to understand our language. And like I don't think they realized that me saying we don't want soundproof booths was actually like supporting having them open in the environment of the Brazilians. And some Brazilians tweeted at me that he was just like, if you don't understand what you're saying, then maybe you should put your friend's dick in your ear so you can't hear it.
it's just also unreasonable, man.
I was like, wait, why is this happening?
Reminds me of that
I'm on your side,
parody
bro.
movie, Scream, like the parody of Scream. I can't remember what the name was.
They have some banter. I remember it was someone tweeting at Pimp or something after he made a prediction at Blast, and it was like a wrong prediction or whatever. And then this Brazilian guy replied, and he said, "If Pimp's an analyst, I'm an astronaut."
Jesus Christ. Man.
Let's move on, Chad. You did God's work there.
All right, thanks.
I believe you did.
The internet's fun if you pretend everybody's a stand-up comedian. That's the way that, like,
That's the way it's meant to be used.
Yeah.
We're all supposed to be having fun here.
If you can pretend everyone's a stand-up comedian, it's fun. All right, let's get to the Counter-Strike, shall we?
Absolutely.
Was there any other stuff that we missed?
Is
from
there
the drama
any other
side?
like X Factors, dramas, any
Dramas?
just fun stuff around the event? Anything you guys got? 3, 2, 1.
Not really. The Legends team just started showing
Yeah,
up.
they're
We
arriving
saw
now. I
all
saw
of them.
Electronic.
Yeah, Carrigan, FaZe just arrived. So
I think they're on the same plane, actually. Because Simple tweeted a picture of rain.
could be.
But that's...
I'm tired of talking about how long my flight was with every single new person that I meet.
12 hours, that is so fucking long, man.
Not in business class. It isn't chat.
That's true. Let's do it again. I've already got business on the way back, baby. All right. You want to? Well, I guess we talk about the losers because we're going to talk about the winners when we talk about the Legends
Well,
stage, right?
we can talk first about, since we talk crowd and all that stuff, the home disadvantage. Apparently,
Sure.
for some
Okay.
of these teams,
Zero
right?
Nation Imperial came
Like
last.
through the while we talk about the results, like the 2 Brazilian teams came last, but Fury wasn't doing too good on day one, right? It seemed like they were also figuring out 9Z every time they were on the stage.
They looked
They
shook.
lost, I think, every single stage.
They would
beat
always
TG.
have been on the stage.
I have a question
true.
about that. Should we feel like that's actually an unreasonable thing to have all their games played on the stage versus other teams? You don't find that to be skewed in any way?
I thought about that, but I was like, kind of like, it just comes with we would be pretending now that all the other stuff isn't built on exceptions, like the cheating, quote unquote cheating and stuff like that. It's like, well, does everything come with it or not? Because where in Brazil, the Brazilian teams, it's going to create the best show possible.
Yeah.
There might be a small dent in the integrity in the sense of like, oh, well, the cheating might be heightened if it's like their own stage. But it's literally the best show. This is about the fans, and it's like the most fun way to run the event. It would be fucking weird if you had like a stage going game going on. Like, what if Imperial and 0 Nation are just playing backstage? Just be like, what are you guys doing?
Yeah.
Like,
Oh.
how are you
I don't
running
know.
this event?
I think
You know what
I
mean?
think there's a conversation to be had about putting the Brazil. I mean, I agree that they should be there for the sake of the show and everything, but to have every single one of their games played on stage in front of a crowd where other people got to play. I see you have your hands raised.
Let's
Chad.
keep going. You can acknowledge me whenever you're done.
I'm just like, I mean, you put like some of those other like young players
Talk
from
for a
other
while,
teams.
by the way. His hand is still up.
Yeah, it's gonna tie around eventually. We'll wear him down. Like you put some of the young players from other teams on the stage. I didn't do the math. Like I know like 9Z, Double Nation, Imperial, Furia, every single game was on the stage. And then you add some of that to some of the other teams who didn't really have to touch the stage nearly that much. And I wonder if I think there could be an argument to be made to say that's an unreasonable thing to have all those stage games. Now, Chad, take it away. I know you're about to shit on my opinion.
Let's put subversive pressure on
see
him,
it.
by the way, to finish the sentence.
Yeah,
So-
it really was
He's
distracting.
an empath. You know that. You're abusing him.
Let's put it this way, Jason. If we had
Yanko's
if
hand is
we
up.
had the Brazilians playing backstage, they would still be on the side
Side
screens.
screens.
So who would the crowd be cheering for?
Yeah, that's true. That's fair.
So it wouldn't make any sense anyway. If we were casting the stage game and the crowd was cheering to the side stream, it would.
The players on the stage would be distracted probably by
No,
the
we
shit.
would be distracted. Fuck the players.
Okay.
Like how would that work? It would be so jarring. Everyone go, yeah, and we're just starting freeze time.
Chad, I think I saw a tweet that CSPPA is looking for a new COO. Maybe you can apply.
Look, I need a new
they
job
need,
soon.
They need someone, No, but I was gonna say I'm with Jason on this one. I know in this particular setup, because of what you just said, Chad, it would be difficult. But I think, for example, Outsiders made it into the next stage without playing a stage game. I think they didn't play on stage once.
And
which-
Maus didn't play a Brazilian team on stage.
Yeah,
Or, like,
exactly.
certain
So
things like
I think for Outsiders, let me just get this out there. I don't think it matters. I don't think they would have played worse on stage with the players that they have and how they are as a team, right? But
Mauser would have. That was your
They
that's
played
was
on
your
stage,
guys'
though.
point for
They
the
played on
original.
stage.
I literally didn't pick them in the challenger stage for that reason.
But
Same.
they played on stage.
Yeah.
They
They played
qualified
one-
on stage.
But they didn't play a Brazilian team.
No, they played backstage. The 2-0 Gamers Fnatic was backstage. They played the 1-0 game against.
Who did they play?
I think they played a non-Brazilian team on stage.
Yeah, because I think I casted that game.
Yeah, they played a non-Brazilian team on stage in a best of one. The second game of day one, and they won. And then they won. Then they
Okay.
I don't know if there's a good way
and
around
they had
it
the
at this
Brazilian
particular
jerseys.
event.
That's
But,
right. That's right. You're right. They
I
did.
don't know if there's a
I
good way
went-
around it at this event, but I think
There
there's-
is. The only way that could be done is for the B stream players to be in a different building so that they're not affected by the crowd, right?
Yeah.
Because what Chad said, they would see it on the streams. And I think, for example, you can pick and choose a little bit. Like, obviously, every Imperial game was going to be on stage no matter what. But 9Z, could you switch their game so that Outsiders and Fnatic are on the main stream playing the 2-1 game instead of them, for example? I think that's
Maybe.
reasonable.
But the crowd had really enjoyed 9Z today against Fnatic as the final game.
Yeah, either way, then I mean, you shouldn't really choose based on that, right? 'Cause they have 2 Brazilian players, and
Because I think also for them is, for someone like 9Z, probably a disadvantage to play on the stage.
Oh, yes.
They'd probably want to
They look
play
shook.
back. And,
Yeah.
Zach said it in the interview. I ran into him in the lobby a little while ago as well, was saying the same thing, right? It's just like for them, because these teams don't have any stage experience, any stage experience, even a mild crowd. And then you put them in this environment where the crowd is mental, just as we said, chanting, clapping, vibrating, everything, right? It's
The
just
kid got kicked out.
yeah.
but to the point of counter pressure, that like I did my picks, and then everyone kept reminding me like, actually Brazilian teams have historically not played well in front of the crowd.
Yeah.
Blast Sao Paulo, MIBR 0-5. Like they didn't even win a single best of one on the stage with like Fall in there was
we had one win as FaZe and we beat them.
yeah, right.
Nice.
Yeah. So then I was like, well, that's real all of a sudden. I thought it would just be like a buff and they'd probably have an edge, but
You probably casted more 9Z than anyone this year, or at least of us at this table, in terms of seeing them at Blast in the studio events and in the NA side of things as well. Like eye test wise, they looked horrible. They didn't look anything like what I've seen from them during the rest of this year when they were playing in like studio events. I don't know if you got that sense from 9Z.
I think it was like kind of, I thought they were play well. The game I just casted, I kind of thought they would lose. I still saw some good rounds out of them. I've got a big fucking rant, by the way, just about it's not necessarily, but it's not about this tournament.
Go on, baby.
All right,
or
give it to us.
anything.
Go for it.
But
Hit us.
I am tired. I am so fucking fed up with artificial leads. Okay.
Okay.
Right now, we're watching games where Cloud9 go up, or they're losing. They lose a second pistol and they're down like 12-4 or whatever in their match. And I looked at the screen and I thought, their T-side overpass is trash. They're actually going to win this game.
Yeah.
And then they fucking won the game. And then in the 9Z game versus Fnatic, I didn't say a single thing to build a narrative into the idea that 9Z have enough rounds because I knew that Fnatic were going to win that game. And for all of us who have been casting and analyzing or playing, back in 2015, 2014, there was like 14-1 CT side halves that would result in a comeback into overtime or just a straight up 16-14. And that is the absolute most horrible thing to cast. And because as you start a game, which casual fans don't understand, you'd start off with high-level statistical analysis, stories about players, and then you talk about the map a little bit, and then you go into rounds, and you try to build up the idea that the first half matters. And it doesn't fucking matter if maps are so CT-sided that once you have enough rounds, all that matters is if you win the second pistol or not.
Yeah.
And right now, every single game has this artificial lead aura that in this event itself, in the last 5 days, I think there have been about 7, 10 round or plus comebacks where as a caster or somebody who really understands the game, you know that lead doesn't really matter, but the crowd got hyped as the first half rolled on, and then as the second half rolled on, they were surprised that it was happening. And I have a fucking conspiracy that Valve liked this. And I am so fucking mad because I can't, in good conscience, talk and build up a narrative as the first half is going on when I know it doesn't fucking matter.
I had that happen in the Cloud9 game today. Like I'm sitting there celebrating a good CTR from Gamer Legion that I know is probably not going to mean anything because you would have to get Cloud9 sleeping in the second half to be able to beat them, right? And your T half on overpass is fucked. Like, what are you meant to do as Gamer Legion to topple a team like Cloud9 on that map? You would have to hope they fuck up. Like, you could do anything you wanted, and they tried everything in that game. Throughout that match, it was so hard to get hyped for Gamer Legion because I knew that they weren't going to win. Like, I knew they weren't going to win. Even on Mirage, the score is fucking 12-12, and I swear to God I said that right now, Gamer Legion, they're not drowning, but they're sinking or something along those lines. And the score was level because I knew that Cloud9 was still going to win that matchup.
Did you think the same when they played G2 in the armor?
Yeah, I definitely did, man.
And the other thing is that it's not just that the CT side is strong. Some of these T rounds that are getting played are incredibly well called and detailed, and some people who don't understand game will not be able to see it. But when the map control is being taken and the first kill, they had to really work hard to trick someone into peeking something, and they get it. But you know that there could be a guy sitting at opposite vent with a fucking silenced M4 and melt 2 guys with no chance of the second guy turning around because it's so fast that it literally comes down to just how strong some of the advantages are on CT side right now, that you're watching teams, IGLs, really great ones, call great rounds and still lose. And so the basis of which these T rounds are being lost is not even fair.
We found the guy who's posting on the YouTube comments about the silenced M4.
Yeah. Every single one.
He's in my YouTube, by the way.
Well, I mean, the silence M4 was already strong, and you add a fucking crowd onto it.
Yeah, true.
You're never hearing that shit.
Yeah.
When I tweeted out the Bad News Eagles thing, the best team in the world, their coach replied, M4A1 S2 OP.
Yeah.
I think he was just trying to be cheeky, but maybe not.
It's right.
Who knows? But it's true. Like, it's just the strength of the CT side, and especially, as Launders pointed out, in the second half too, right? Like when you're playing the CT side and you know exactly how many rounds you need and how many rounds you have to work with, then you can save, you can take more risks, you can gamble, right? So it all this makes it difficult. I reference this every now and again when I am with Kassad on the desk because I played him a couple of times, his teams, and on Mirage would usually be played and we would play T side in the second half, right? So and they were being worse than Avangard in those days. Like just gamble stacks, saving, and then you don't get any free rounds. Like every round there's an op in play. Like the op, an M4 and 3 pistols, you have to treat that like a gun round.
Yeah.
Right? Like maybe a little bit different, but you can't just those rounds are also very easy to lose. So it's constant pressure that you have, like T sides, and obviously the economy the way it has been for a while because of the changes. Like I think it was good to get some free round. Like
I liked hard resets.
I did too.
I think maybe 1400 is too much.
We're old.
But
Also shorter games.
Yeah, but
every match is an hour and 15 minutes.
But because like those rounds then matter more,
yes,
right? Like there's more focus on those reset rounds as we call them. So then also you see who the really great players are, who has the balls, knowing that the consequences are much higher. Like when you know that you go for a play and if you lose, or even if you die, your team can still save potentially, or you can just, next round you will have enough to buy or at least have a winnable round or whatever. It's different than if I lose this round, that means like 3 more rounds are gone, probably, right? Like it makes the game more difficult. So do you trust your instincts then? What do you do? I think that was interesting. I think 1400 is too much still to go, but I think after you win a round, it should be like 2. You shouldn't go for 3400 to 29. You should go
24.
to 24, for example. Something like that, But,
I think that the price of the M4 at the moment is obviously a big one. I think most of us here would assume that after this major, though, it's likely to get nerfed, right? Like, it's been like this for...
You'd hope so.
Yeah,
surely they have enough data now.
Yeah, because it just goes off of usage.
But
they don't care what people say about how many people are using it.
And everyone's using it.
No one's using the A4
But
anymore.
also in like matchmaking as well. That'd be the question because they use that data also. They don't just use it from...
But why would anybody use the M4A4? Like, I saw OG players using it today. I go, well, you guys aren't fucking winning. Like, it's like,
It's
what
the
are you
4 guys
what are
that
you
have
doing?
a howl.
All you know is when the T sides when the T side's picking up the M4A1 as well, you're like, oh well, that's sweet.
Yeah.
That's prioritized.
So the solution is to disable the ability to buy helmets on pistol rounds and then give everybody half armor on pistols so that everyone can buy nades. And then suddenly pistol rounds are real CS.
Wait, say that again.
What?
In pistol rounds, everyone starts out with body armor.
Everyone starts out with body armor,
and
but
you
they
have
can't buy head armor.
and you have
You can't buy head
800,
armor.
and you have
Oh.
800.
You don't change the money that people have, so that
You
it
just
costs.
give them a chance to buy nades and
And
kits.
then Sean Gears
That's an
is
interesting
happy.
solution.
And then Sean
I've
Gears
actually
is-
never heard that. As
Some
a,
more
Let the man
util.
finish.
And then Sean Gears is happy because now pistol rounds are real CS because everyone's buying nades.
Okay. Are we being facetious? Or
No, I'm
serious?
not, because if it's like 10-5 and you know
I
that
personally
it comes,
don't like it, but I appreciate the effort.
if it's 10-5 and you know that the other team, if they win the pistol, then they win the map. That's countered by adding integrity to pistol rounds in the first place. Because right now
It's a coin
the
toss.
map balance comes down to the first gun round. There are no M4s on the pistol round. So it makes it very strange if the map balance is more even on pistol rounds and completely lopsided on the first gun round. Or all gun rounds.
This is like
Fuck.
a bit
we're going
complicated
deep.
to talk
No,
about.
but we're going deep.
I want to say on first
On
thought-
record.
No, on first thought of what you said, I think T side would be OP in pistol rounds.
With you two and nades?
With armor and full with 5 players having armor and having nades.
You wouldn't have full
because
nades,
you
though,
don't
would you?
have full nades.
Everyone can have smoke flash.
Because
Yeah.
you don't have the ability in pistol round to spray people down. So 3 guys jumping through a smoke or with utility jumping with armor, right? Like jumping around. You look at Navi's every T pistol round. It somehow involves players jumping around in a pack when they come to hit the bomb site because it's very difficult, whoever you are, however good your aim is,
Counter.
to hit people like that.
You
Right?
can defuse in the smoke and they can't spam you because they don't have rifles.
Ooh.
They got Glocks with
I
20
mean,
bullets.
Glocks with
though.
20 bullets is
True.
But couldn't you buy the CZ75?
You can buy whatever you want, baby.
Basically a rifle.
dualies.
Except head armor.
Yeah,
No
yeah.
head armor.
No fucking head armor.
Yeah, actually, you have armor CT and could just buy dualies yourself. And
Everyone have Julies and nades.
I'm happy that dualies are seeming strong these days.
Is that facetious?
No, I'm serious. I fucking love the dualies, man.
Fallen got an ace with it. Are we
I've been
giving him
waiting.
graffiti?
Zywoo
I
had like
actually
the fucking
do like
triple
it, too.
kill. The graffiti request for
I would
Fallen's
never
ace
use it
was the
because it looked
funniest thing.
goofy. But
of course,
It's like, come on. It's,
Graffiti.
everything
He gets
is
an ace.
graffiti.
Graffiti.
he went 0-3. Please no.
I can't
If anything, you would give him a graffiti on fucking overpass for the crazy round.
Yeah.
It's not blowing my mind.
Yeah, look.
Or just put a fan somewhere on the map.
What about Axel's shot today? You guys all catch that?
That was stupid.
That was
Filthy.
fucking
That was.
crazy.
I'd be
was
so mad if
ridiculous.
I'm Gamer League. I wonder, did they know it happened at the time? Like, did he see him jumping out of the window, or was he shot from behind?
I think they know
He was
that-
They
facing.
know now.
He was
Yeah,
facing. He was facing the
Okay.
window.
because he was.
For some reason, he didn't shoot as he jumped out of the window. Did you
Yeah,
notice
I don't
that?
know. I don't know what
I
happened.
think
there.
because
He knew he was gonna die.
No, I think he figured he can't get the kill.
Yeah. So
So
just shoot him when
so
he
he's
hits
like,
the
maybe he
ground.
was hoping he didn't see him.
Wait for a cleaner shot.
He was wearing the invisibility cloak.
Just imagine getting knocked out of the major off that play.
Man, it didn't click for me immediately what happened because
Some
it
don't know
was,
how to imagine.
it was on that POV and I saw it and I went, well, that's not right. Like, I just
No, because
that
I-
obviously didn't.
this
happen.
It was like a
Really?
movie. It was like a movie because you're watching from Axel's perspective. He jumps out. He sees two guys. He's like, oh shit, they're fucked. And then he passes the pillar. There's only one guy left.
Yeah, exactly.
Wait.
I was because the observer first showed the boost, right? So I'm like, okay, there's two guys there. He almost got the kill. And then I see Axel's jumping out and he swings. And it's just one guy there, like you're saying. His name is on the kill file. I was like, when did he get that
Yeah.
kill? He just jumped out, and then you see the replay, and you're like, oh.
The replay ridiculous.
That was a little silly. I felt a
ridiculous.
little bit bad on that
Did
one.
his little perverted smile as well. That was hilarious.
That's like, bro, I didn't mean to do that. I guess you have to take the shot.
What
but-
would you take, that or the Zaiwu scout round?
What, for graffiti?
No, just as like the most.
Is that for seizure?
we got a podcast title now.
That Zaiwu scout round today was a thing of beauty.
Yeah,
that
his
was
changed
awesome.
the whole momentum of the early game of that match.
Yeah,
Of
it
Dust
did.
2.
Between that and like the Mage's Deagle.
After the first kill, he had 3 HP.
Yeah.
He got 2
It's
more.
kinda
It's
crazy.
mental.
Three more, didn't he? He got the op kill at the end. as
Yeah,
well.
Opkin, then, yeah, right.
Well, we needed to do that. Apex had a bit of a rough go on that fucking Dust 2.
I couldn't believe 11 rounds in, he had 0.3 ADR.
Yeah, that was wild.
Holy shit.
I remember once I played a match versus Whitmer. You guys all remember?
Yeah.
It's hilarious, motherfucker. If you guys don't know and who are listening, but we beat it. We found a boost on Overpass. It was like post Olaf, and it was another boost, and it was we were killing him like coming out of spawn, but it was like a wall bang, so we got like really lucky, right? And I remember after the game, he ended with 6.7 ADR, and he had one kill. It was a nade kill, and he came in. He's like, I don't know where you motherfuckers were killing me from. And he's like, yeah, I had 6.7 ADR at the end of that half. And I was like, what? You had 67 ADR? And he went, no, 6, sometimes 7.
The hardest part about those games, man. You know, like when you're just like 0-11 at a game, you can sometimes just be like, man, I'm just getting fucking dicked in these fights, just nothing's landing. But when you have 0 ADR, you know you
not even
have 0
close.
ADR. You
not
know
even
that you
close.
haven't hit anyone. You're not telling your teammates.
Nah.
You're just sitting there on your PC like dead, and you're like, I haven't hit anyone with a bullet yet.
Yeah. What do you?
Bullet, even an 8. Didn't even chip damage.
And you're calling as well. It's like, man, can I just put myself in a position to get one kill here, please? Just get this fucking over and done with, man. It's
Because I will run out first. I'll trade you.
Bro, he was entering with the op of those mid
We-
B splits.
we-
I haven't seen anything like that since
We
JW.
have a joke
It's
like
unreal.
when we play and someone's like having a rough game like that. We say, "Listen, us 4 are gonna hold him down," and then you kick the shit out of him.
That's funny.
Oh my god.
All right, so challenger stage. What else
well,
did we...
here's the thing. We touched on the 0-3 Brazilians, Imperial, and ONH. We talked about 9Z. We talked a little about Greyhound. We talked about Gamer Legion. Excuse me. Anything we want to say about like IHC or Greyhound?
I was
the
going to say
Oceanics?
something, but I forgot. I was talking with the Greyhound boys. I was talking with Vexite and Alistair yesterday because Alistair's here next to me. And they were out in the hallway having a chat, and I was like, "Oh fuck, I'm gonna join this fucking conversation, man." So I was out there talking to them, and
Because you guys speak the same language.
yeah,
so it's easy.
yeah, I understood a lot. It's hard. I haven't been home in a while, so I had to get a bit of a
Yeah,
refresher. But
sure.
now, just talking to them, they didn't seem too in the dumps, right? Like they're obviously disappointed. Like they would have loved to have won more games or gone further in the event, but they don't feel like the progression of this team is like over yet, which I think is a good positive mindset to have, especially with the addition of Vexite, right? He's sharp. Like he
looked good. I liked him.
He's a fragger. So I wouldn't say they're an exciting prospect, but it's more about solving the issue of the region. It's not just Australia. It's not just New Zealand. It's not Oceania as a whole. It's China, East Asia. It's everything. And The thing is, I actually did an interview with is it Saraf today, and we had a bit of a chat. Like he comes to the majors and he covers stuff for China, and we were talking about it. And I talk to him at every couple of majors, and there needs to be, mate, no G up. Somebody needs to start a league in the region, right? Like a Chinese league where everybody, like NKT and Greyhound and Encore, all go to make each other better, because we don't have that facility.
Don't they? They don't have a circuit or
Well,
anything.
also,
with
isn't the problem with the Chinese league the fact that the entire industry is just riddled with match fixing?
Okay, fine. Let's do it somewhere else.
Talking
not China.
I have
about
an
the
idea.
Pandora's box.
Like
I have an idea.
WWE is big business.
I have an idea. Let's start a league with North America. Combine them all.
Well, it should be. Like, that's the thing. North America should be the rest of the world. Everybody, but the problem is you motherfuckers and
One
visas.
season in NA, one season in Australia.
Like, we can't even get like Bentet and stuff in there, right? Because he's Indonesian, and then
We got him in there. I wrote him
eventually,
a letter. I wrote him a visa
but they
letter.
just
I
go
got him in.
Indonesia, and then America goes
I'll talk to my
Muslims,
people.
and then they
I'll
don't let
talk to my
anybody
people.
in.
Talk to your representative.
I know people in the
edgy
immigration.
comment.
Michigan.
I missed the edgy
He's got a
comment.
good-
Yeah,
that's
they
fine.
know me over there.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, I don't know. I just think for the region, like, because IHC get to play in Europe on high ping, but they play face it in Europe. Like, I've queued against them.
I was
before.
gonna say, like, everyone's telling me that, like, someone's telling me, like, most of IHG's practice is just leave the 5 of them queuing FPL.
and
No, not
they're
FPL, just in face
insane on
matchmaking.
200 ping.
Yeah.
Apparently they're really good.
Yeah, but that's all they can do.
Yeah, I was actually impressed with the IHC at this event.
Yeah,
Oh
and
man, they look so
they
good.
play good
Sharp
CS.
aim.
They're very sharp, right? And that's never.
I actually feel bad putting them as my 0-3.
I felt bad too, but
And you're
someone else
also
will go.
wrong.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that too. Who's your 0-3?
Greyhound, baby.
But we couldn't put Imperial or 00 Nation, no matter how much we wanted to.
I think
That would be dangerous.
Put 0-0 Nation to go through. We put Imperial. You guys were really adamant
Yeah.
about them in the pick and in the thing we did.
I didn't do that.
For the major in the content, right? I had 9Z go through as well.
Oh, well, none of them made it.
I mean, they were in the 2-2 game. I did say though, them or Gamer Legion, whoever wins that game will probably go through, and they both went out.
Yeah.
Two
Yeah.
games.
well, I don't know. They were pretty underwhelming, to be honest.
Moving on from those two teams, let's touch on we did OG plenty today. We don't need to go back into that rabbit hole. Evil Geniuses. Anything we want to say there?
Crickets.
I
Where's
mean,
Cassad?
I just don't like watching teams.
exactly.
I'm not. I don't need to be like. I don't need to think a team can win a major to be a fan. For me, just a personal thing. But I need to believe they can win a tournament. Otherwise, I'm not really.
They're making
interested.
progression.
Yeah, I think that's maybe the takeaway is that I feel like there's steps being made forward. I think the hardest one that they had this event, I think the hardest loss was that they should like 9Z. That's a match that EG should be winning.
True.
That's a match they should be winning.
True.
As much as I like 9Z, and I think they too have some are better than what they showed at this major. I think that's a pretty damning loss for EG, especially off the back of the Blast Showdown where they shit the bed pretty
Yeah.
hardcore.
Yeah, I made a comment like I thought when I was on HLTV Confirmed, I was like,
Yeah.
they should have cut Cirque like a long time ago. And
Yes.
I genuinely do feel like that. But sometimes I wonder, it's like, like how, I don't know how else to put it, but at the same time, I am like, kind of like calling for his head and in his career.
He's
or
such a
whatever,
nice
but-
guy. It's hard to do.
Yeah, and it
our
should
job,
never be
though.
about
Yeah.
that. Sometimes I try to think like we work in entertainment, and I think the thing that bothers me is that when it comes to pick 'em predictions, being a fan of a team, being a fan of a player, my only allegiance is to like the sake of the game.
Yes.
So a lot of the times it's like the org, for example. Like I want EG to stay in CS and do well. So
Yeah.
if I call
Yes.
for someone's head, it's not because I think I don't like them or something. It's because I think they're making the team worse, and I think if the org leaves CS, then we are all losing, that kind of thing. So that's where it comes
I think
from.
it's also important to be fair. I've had my fair share of criticism for Searson and his LAN performances, and he's having an amazing tournament. He's the top 5, top 6 players, 1.4 rating. Probably the main reason him alongside Tabson that they made it into the next stage, right? So, and that's how it is. I had the same thing with Acor for his mouse days to his performance at the RMR, right? Like, I think it's important that you say the truth, but also be able to not allow
Or just
your
continue to
feelings
say
or
it.
whatever to continue to say it if things haven't changed. But I have to mention this. So Kassad tweets out last night after EG was out, can't wait for mandatory BST from @EvilGeniuses, tags the org, of course. How this isn't the result they hoped for, but they're super proud of team's progress and looking forward to great things
you're talking about the Volborg tweet.
in 2023.
Here's the
right?
Volborg tweet. Here we go.
No, and then Valence.
Oh.
Valence tweeted out, I swear to God, like 10 minutes after that,
No, this
or,
is-
or,
yeah.
or something along those lines. And he tweets, word for word, we made strides in some areas and will continue to improve in others. Every, capitalized, game was competitive, including the one we won. The major isn't supposed to be easy. I'm happy we treated the game with the respect it deserves. Looking forward to more from AG CSGO in the future, in the near future.
They lost 16-5 to Cloud9.
I mean,
That was pretty competitive.
Competitive 5 rounds.
yeah, they were very, very competitive in that game. I mean, so it's like we're almost exactly what Kasad pointed out. This actually came out. And listen, here's the thing. Let's be realistic. The reason why we can say nice things about EG now is because they were so absolute dog shit that I don't know how it could have gotten any worse.
Yeah.
We were praising them for winning 2 games in Pro League, for beating a European team, for winning a Pro League match after 500 days.
Yes.
It's been 500 days since they won a game.
Hell yeah.
Right? So sure, it's great that they're made it to the major. The only win is because they played the IRC in the first round. And that's because of shit seeding that those 2 teams should never play each other in the opener. They should play Vitality and Cloud9. Or whatever. But that's a whole other topic. So, yes, you are improving, but based off where you were, that's not like a massive feat. Like, that's finally something.
Honestly, I just we can't be too sympathetic towards NA teams. Like, they're like 9Z do amazingly well for having like players from the most random countries ever. They try harder, they work harder. BNE, same thing. Like, they have literally no org support. They're just has to be a higher bar. Like, it just has to be higher.
And I think too, the other thing with EG for me is difference of with some other teams where like you have guys like Cirque and Breeze who are like former champions and like looked like some of the best players in the world winning trophies like just a couple of years back. Like, that should at least be a couple of players that give you enough firepower to be more competitive more frequently than they are. At the very least. Especially when Automatic comes back from Valorant and is like the best player on the team.
I've got a solution. What if EG just drop their entire team and buy Bad News Eagles or Gamer Legion?
Then we're just
no.
But we need NA. I
mean,
NA.
yes, but no. It'd be probably a smart move to get that competitive team within the org, but also like
I don't care about that, dude.
The NA region,
more regions be stronger.
The NA region needs that org of EG to stay within.
But EG have crippled the region.
Yeah, they have. That's the one criticism I have with theirs, but I don't think those players are any kind of exceptional value that can't be recovered elsewhere.
But those players that have signed that are trying to pay rent, and they'll be able to pay rent for 2 years.
That was my criticism when that deal came out. I was
Good decision.
from a competitive regard.
Pay rent. What, 18-year-olds are living by themselves? Why are you paying rent? Live with your parents.
Well, I don't know. Ponalone's like 30, right?
Yeah, they're not all 18.
He's the one.
Yeah.
He is older.
Yeah. There's a couple of them are older there.
But
late bloomer.
That was my one criticism of that move. Yeah. Like, from a competitive aspect, I understand, and I see the value in having, I guess it's the equivalent of like the Mals and big academy teams, right?
In 10 years time from now.
Yeah, right. I don't think it's anything crazy right now, but I do see the value that an org would want to chase into it. However, in a region that's already depleted of players and competitive teams, even within the region itself, to pick up an extra 10 players, you now prevent the next people who want to come in. That's one of the teams they would have gone for to pick up.
Would this have been smarter, Jason? Because we spoke about this. Would this have been smarter if the Oz team went and became EG fucking white or EG whatever, right? Like the Oz team went and then they took an Asian team and they did. Would that be better?
That would be good, but the only problem is they technically are doing this for their main roster to have like the best feeder support system possible. So you could bring Australians.
Who of those players are good?
I don't think that's technically relevant to why they did it, but I know what you mean. Like it does get significantly weaker, but like Hext is the example of a player who they moved up. Like
Hex was, I felt like Hex was pretty shook coming into this event when he saw the environment that he was going to be playing in. Young player.
Yeah, he was. But did we ever get a reason from EG why they picked up 2 more teams instead of 1?
Well, they had a plan so that they didn't kind of compete. I'm not the expert on this. I literally joke about how I don't even know what white and the EG white and EG black are. But like they had like one team that was supposed to go play in Europe, get boot camp experience, and play in the We Play Academy League. Then one team that's a main roster, and then another team that would be like the main feeder team or whatever. I don't know.
They did it based off of the number of events that they looked at throughout the calendar year of Counter-Strike, and they basically said, okay, the main EG roster is going to be doing our Blast and ESL and trying to qualify for the major. That's going to be their role. And then they have one of the teams is going to be doing like the odd NA event that pops up, the Fragadelphias, and then the other team is going to be ones going over to Europe and playing in like the Snow Sweet Snows and like the second tier events and the We Play. And
Valen's worked at Google, okay? He's got it figured out.
It's true.
They basically said there's enough events throughout the calendar year that it warrants us having these 3 rosters that we can send to different events and be competitive.
It costs you a shitload of money and you get nothing for it. It's so crazy, man. Like I haven't been critical of this because eventually one day it will probably be the future of Counter-Strike, that teams will have deep and probably multiple teams and have these type of systems. I haven't been critical of it. I haven't come out here and said I don't think this is going to work, because I don't know. It might work, but right now it's not working. And you're right, strengthening the region, but are we more beneficial in everybody understanding? Obviously, Yanko is the only one out of the four of us here who is European. The rest of us represent different...
I didn't know where he was going to go.
Yeah, I was also like, what?
I was excited. That was pretty tame for what I wanted to happen.
The rest of us represent different parts of the world, right? And would it be more beneficial, just like what I was saying about Oceania being involved in the greater Asia events, would it be more beneficial if it quite truly was the Americas? Well, I don't even know if South America needs us anymore.
No, South America should have its own, and then do North America combined with Asia, combined with Oceania.
Yeah, and you get South Africa involved or whatever, any niche region.
It's everyone outside of South America and Europe.
So basically we need to convince Biden that the future of esports is giving visas.
Bro, I'm not convinced Biden can connect a Bluetooth headset. He's not going to understand esports.
You weren't going to be allowed. They won't let you home, mate. You got to be fucking careful.
You have to be careful about that.
You fucking right-wing
I
motherfucker.
think your idea can basically be defined in one word, Chad.
What?
You didn't see that?
No, was that Biden?
Yeah, America can be defined in one single word.
Oh, I saw you. That clip,
Jesus.
He had like a weird
There's
gas.
so many.
We're
In our defense, I mean, the right wing politicians in America do that shit.
All right,
too.
so
But moving on.
which teams did we not talk about yet?
Man, I had something good I want to talk about, but I forgot what I was saying. And
You were
now
talking about
it's not coming back.
combining the regions.
Nah, I was like fucking 15 minutes ago. I'm
Okay.
still
Well,
searching
yeah,
my
that
brain and
one's
looking for it,
long
man.
gone.
I'm still looking for it.
Yeah, let's move on to the legends. It's getting late. I know all of us are tired. We talked about everyone from the challengers.
I had to go to
waking
media
up
tomorrow
in
at 9 a.m.
I have 11:30.
What do we want to talk about with the legends?
I don't know. I guess we could do the opening mashups. You got them handy?
Yeah, let me pull them up real quick.
We have some fire ones. We have
Navi
Vitality,
Vitality.
and Face Cloud 9. That's mental. The seating is awful. And
No,
it's like,
okay, hold up a second. How is the seating awful?
They
Vitality
fucked
went
up. They
through
lost.
as a 3-2 team.
No,
How is that the seating's fault?
the seating is awful. The format is shit. The RMRs are a shit. The RMRs are a shit format.
I thought there was a button
You
there and it
shouldn't
just
be
kept getting
able
worse.
to come to one tournament, have a good run at that tournament, and be top 16 at the major immediately, or have a high seed because you.
If you ask Vitality, would they blame the seed?
No.
They
no.
fucking
No,
lost.
I'm not
You mean
talking about that.
overall?
I'm just talking overall, not for Vitality
Oh.
specifically. I'm talking in a sense, for example, someone like Sprout just making it through all the way because they gone through 3-1 at the
yeah.
RMR instead of 3-2. Like one game difference when you qualify makes you skip a stage and also affects your initial seeding is done based off the RMR, not based off of any world ranking, right? So
What if Valve made their own world ranking?
there should
We have
be
enough
It would
world.
be
We have
the-
enough.
it would
We have
be the
enough world
fifth best
rankings.
one, I think.
there should be like even if HLTV is used ranking, if
What if it's ELO like chess?
Ooh.
listen, I think that it's not a conversation for this episode.
Let's get
probably
FIDE and
for
CS:GO.
another one. I think it should be. The problem is, I know ESL has talked to Valve about Valve doing a ranking and doing things
shit.
based off of that. The problem is, they feel like it's
Then they
hard
would
to
have to
create a
pretend they're an
fair
esports
ranking.
company.
No, because like some teams, the partner teams have more opportunities, right?
Yes.
So they will have more points just by being partner teams. So it's not as fair, right? That's why they have it of open qualifier and everyone's playing it. But I feel like if you find a way to rank it and give points in a way where you don't get points for just being in a tournament, if you are a partner team, for example, and you also not necessarily lose, I don't know if you lose points or whatever, if you lose games. So if you're EG, and sure you are at these tournaments, but you suck, you're not going to be high in the world ranking because you're at them. You're actually going to be low because you can't beat any of the teams there.
Yes.
And then maybe they would think about, maybe we skip us, not necessarily skip a season, but maybe we play some of these Snow Sweet Snows with the main tournament to get some fucking points.
This is a true point. Actually, in Smash is a problem right now because they have an open circuit as well, and there are top players complaining about lower ranked players who play less tournaments but do average better ratings have a higher ranking than them, and they're getting punished for entering more events. Basically,
So it's a complicated topic, but I'm just saying like it sucks because it can screw up the whole phase if one or two upsets happen. Like it skews everything.
Biased, of course.
I mean, listen, Big beat 9Z in a best of 3 to be in the next stage. Like obviously you can only beat teams that are in front of you and they did a good job. You can argue that they were better off losing to Bad News Eagles than beating them because of the opponent that they got. Obviously, they probably didn't know that and couldn't know that at the time.
How about this? I mean, you never get to pick your bracket, and there will always be majors where people's runs can be rated differently based on their playoff run. And FaZe, they got the luckiest run to the finals of Boston, and Cloud9 had the hardest, and they still lost.
Boom. Checkmate atheist.
I expect you to drop the mic at that moment, just walk out. But yeah, I think, maybe even some combination of, for starters, maybe try it out somewhere where we had tournaments. I was coaching then where, teams seeded each other. Like every team.
That is the best.
Everything
Kata, right?
Out. Kata
I think
was
it's most ESL events, isn't it?
Not anymore.
Not anymore.
They don't do it anymore?
They did it for a little bit, but then they stopped.
That is the best.
The problem is sometimes, players don't want to be a part of it, so that just the coach or the manager do it. Which I think coach doing it, it's also fine. Well, my idea was going to be something on the lines of talent, some journalists play like it's a.
We can barely get 5 right in pick'ems, boys. What are we doing?
I actually got 5 right comfortably.
What are we doing deciding anything?
Well, you're talking about like the. What you're saying is like
now I'm emo.
What college football does in the States is they do there's like a percentage weight given to like journalists who vote for positions, and then like different figureheads in the organizations, and
I could be bribed.
Like each, so it'd be like talent get like 20% weighted vote on the seeds of a tournament, and players get like 30%, and journalists get like 20%, and then you combine all these different weighted seedings. Maybe you give fans some. No, that's
listen,
bad.
Jason. Listen, Jason.
Fans get like a 10%
No,
weight.
Fans get nothing.
No, they don't. Right, Jason,
hey fans,
I don't know why.
Fans, I got your back. Follow me on Twitter.
I don't know why you took a deep dive into this topic when we've already gone for a long time. Can we just talk about the games, please?
Why
are you blaming me? This wasn't me who went down this road.
Everyone relax. There's a lot of fingers being pointed here. I just want to go back to the big comment just quickly because we mentioned them, and I just wanted to get has Sirison always had the attitude where he said, I don't give a fuck what people are saying about me, I know what I'm capable of?
I bet he installed Twitter just to tweet that.
I bet classic reference.
I don't know why he didn't at me.
I bet he did, but he had to wait for a good performance to throw it out there in the world. But he's like I'm just gonna wait for that one.
He scheduled it.
Yeah. On a serious note, I haven't tweeted this out. This is the perfect attitude to have as a player.
Yes.
Like we have our job. Our job is to talk about the game, the players, what's going on, give our informed opinions, right? But you as a player or as a team, only the 6 of you or 7 of you or how many people are with that team every day, that's the only people that matter.
Yeah.
And their opinion, what they think, and you only know what was going on in the game, what you were supposed to do, what went wrong. You're the only one with the full information, right? So ideally you are able to shut out all that noise and just focus on the game and playing and competing with your team. So props to him for having that mindset.
How's Gamer Legion sound as a conversation here just quickly? Should we talk about them? Did we talk about Gamer Legion yet?
They're out.
Yeah, they're out. We moved on to Legends.
Oh, sorry, guys. Yeah, okay. We can talk about them in the future.
You can talk about G2 as well.
So what did we say? Vitality Na'Vi, that's a banger, simple Zaya where everyone knows the headlines there. But this is where...
Every matchup has a good storyline.
Okay.
Every matchup.
Do you want me to challenge you on that one?
Going.
Yeah, challenge him.
Challenge me.
Sprout big.
Big versus Big Academy.
You said a good storyline.
It's a storyline.
It is a storyline.
It's the
jokes aside, 2 German organizations playing each other.
And quite truly, just for Yanko's sake here, the organization themselves, like maybe the managers or owners, will care a lot about that matchup. Whereas the players in the server probably not so much. But
it's definitely a grudge match, domestic matchup.
Yeah, no,
in terms of the orgs.
Yeah. So that would be something there.
The fun thing, I think there's a kind of NIP versus Fnatic is just an interesting matchup because they're both now international rosters. They've both gone away from being...
Yeah.
It's also a historic rivalry in CS.
Not Swedish
and
anymore, yeah.
Roland versus Crims.
Oh, that's a
Beautiful.
fun one. Yeah, that's a nice
You
little
want to keep
angle
going,
there.
Jason?
That one wasn't a test on you. I was just pointing that one out.
Yeah, so we agreed that I already
Should we just do... Should we just do something like...
I passed the test. That's the word.
Because if we go matchup by matchup here, it's gonna be hard. Should we just do like our pick'ems because that's a broader expectation of who we think is gonna go through?
Sure, we can do that.
Yeah, I'll do them from memory right now.
Okie
FaZe, Vitality, Cloud9, Furia, Heroic.
That's 5.
What other teams are there?
You need 2 more.
Just keep thinking, baby. There's some bad news Eagles in there. Ants.
Bad news
Vitality's
Eagles.
in there.
NIP.
Yeah.
Are you really gonna go for NIP?
0-3. No, I'm just kidding. That's the 5. There's 5 at the bottom and then 2 at the top, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, that's
No,
the 5.
7. It's 7 at the
7
bottom.
and 2.
Oh,
7 and 3 and 0, and then 0 and 3.
I actually give up. I just know that Stats 5 locked in and we're through.
Okay. Perfect. Well done.
The 3-0 and the 0-3. Yanko, are you going to do the strategy? You're fucked now anyway. It doesn't really matter.
He can't go back on. He was so harsh about that in the challenge
Yeah,
stage.
he didn't like
Yeah,
the
he
strategy
can't. No,
that helped me get across the line.
Exactly.
I don't know. 0-3.
Where do you fall in that, Launders? Use the you put 9Z in your 3-0, so you're with Chad
I don't
and
even think about this.
Yeah.
I'm like, if I count on my 3-0 and 0-3, I'm losing.
Yeah.
That's how I feel.
Yeah. Best of ones is so.
Everyone got fucked on theirs.
Yeah.
There's like everyone was like, oh, you should have had Gamer Legion, and they're not even through.
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, you can come close, but Buchholz always will make sure that shit gets corrected.
Surely you put Sprout is going to be the biggest 0-3 pick.
Is that the worst team?
FaZe, NIP, Sprout, Spirit, Navi, Ents, Heroic, Liquid, Mouse, Bad News Eagles, Big, Outsiders, Furia, Vitality, Cloud9, Fnatic.
I could put Fnatic as my 0-3.
Yeah.
Yeah, they didn't look great at
No.
the end of the stage,
No.
did they?
But they play NIP in the first game in a best of one.
Precisely.
That's a winnable game for them for sure.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you think NIP is going to look as good here as they did at the Road to Rio?
I think they played that silly little Swedish event, which doesn't matter. It's like Lil Mix and
Did they?
Eyeballers. But all they played before that was the RMR.
What's the correct take on Rez opping? I was casting the NA RMR. I didn't even see this.
I don't know what the correct take is. My take is the fact that he's a very skilled individual who could potentially transition into this role, but it will not happen quickly.
He reminded me, it felt like a little bit of like a
Say
almost like
Device.
when I was gonna say when Device switched to opping.
What
Yeah.
the fuck?
Can I finish my thought here before the Giggle Fest begins? Jesus Christ! Just because he's
You
like
know, I almost compared Nikados to Simple, but I was better than that.
I'm not I'm not comparing the two in that sense. I'm just saying it just reminds me because like he just hit the shots that he had to hit. He didn't do anything mind blowing. Like he was fine. Wasn't anything crazy. I don't think he's gonna reinvent the wheel. But at the moment,
And he compared him to Device, just so everybody
Shut the
knows.
fuck
That was insane. Were you there when he did that?
If you compared him to like Shara or something,
why would I compare him to Shara? Compare him to Shara.
well, like that would probably be...
No, compare him, Chad. Go.
Well, it's a name that you know is not very exciting.
Wasn't he the one who fell
He
into
was
the
the one that
stage?
fell.
in Cologne?
Yeah. No, I
Took a
I
wrong
compared him to
turn and
Device
there was a
because they were
hole in
both
the stage for so
riflers,
long.
star
Yeah.
riflers for their team that switched into opping, and I think it's going to be a similar
So
thing.
did Simple.
Yeah, true.
So did
But I
Zywu.
didn't I'm comparing to Simple.
Zywu hates opping.
So did Mantu.
No, he doesn't, does he?
He never wanted to op. When Navarro joined the team, he stopped opping. He said he always hated it, but he was just the best. That's just what happens.
That's brilliant.
Yeah.
Look,
He's like Jackie Chan in the
I
arcade.
can't tell if
like,
I'm
he
getting
doesn't
trolled
want
right now.
to. Jackie Chan in the arcade, he doesn't want to fight anybody, but he just beats up 40 guys.
I
Jackie
think
Chan movies were the
looking
shit.
at NIP, right? The fact that they've had so much time to work on whatever they're going to bring into this event is the biggest positive for them.
But can't that also be a negative? Like, what if you're so focused on NIP and what you've been
It
practicing?
can, but what's the expectation? Does anybody think NIP will really win this event?
No, but I
No.
don't know if I
No.
necessarily thought they would get here either. To be
No,
honest.
me either. But that's the thing. Like, there's
Oh,
no
they're not going to win.
expectation.
They're certainly not going to win the event.
Maybe, but there's no expectation on this team. Zero. So like you look at I always talk about these guys with the potential strength as opposed to the weakness, because the weakness is more likely to happen. So why do I need to drill that storyline home? I may as well swing for the fences and say, yeah, Rez can AWP and Hampus can be a star rifler.
Well, the thing is, like, he doesn't have to be like Hampus is a playmaker, right? Like, if you have playmakers as riflers, you can be more of a
Passive
brokey
AWPer.
in a sense, right?
Yeah.
Not necessarily just passive, but you don't need to go for as many plays, right? Like, you have other guys doing that, so you just need to, do your job. Like, you don't need to carry the team on the op, but you need to get the kills that come to you, right? The frags
True.
that come to you, you need to be able to take them. So I think in that sense, it could work even now. But yeah, for NIP, I feel like it's one of those things where it depends on the draw that they get through the tournament. Like, if they get that,
they're a higher seed.
true.
Is
Yeah, they
any-
were a 3-0 team.
Yeah.
We came into this event kind of saying like they were almost like, let's just say say there's 4 real challengers for the trophy that you would put in that category to start with. It's
FaZe, Navi.
FaZe, Navi, Vitality, Cloud9.
Cloud9.
What about Liquid?
I
Actually-
put them in there, but not everyone had Liquid up there in the contenders. So
Yeah,
I
I
just
think
went with 4 just for ease of conversation. But we
Okay.
can add Liquid into that.
I think yeah. To be, it's like it
Cloud9.
feels like it, but Liquid have not won a tournament this year.
True.
They came close, but they didn't. Cloud9 have a LAN win.
Liquid have the eye test and not the resume.
Yeah,
That's
So-
a good way to
essentially
put
what
it.
it
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Eh,
okay.
Why don't you like Liquid?
it's not that I don't like them. I like them more before Pro League than after Pro League
Why?
True.
because they didn't play that well.
They started out
They,
so slow.
they played just well enough to get to the final. I mean, but their
group
draw
stage wasn't
they
great.
had Fnatic in the round of 12, Mouse in the quarters, who some of Nitro, Nitro had, I think Nitro had more Valorant LAN playoff games than some of the Mouse players had in CS. So that tells you about the difference in experience. And yes, it's Malta. It's not like it wasn't a huge crowd or anything, but it was more of that. So they beat them. And then Cloud9 shits the bed again after beating FaZe. Like, that's where I gave up on Cloud9 for this major, when they lost to that Liquid in that semifinal game. And that final was like close, right? Like
Liquid probably had a chance to win it 3-0.
But also, that's because they were playing, Vitality, who, as we see, is not really.
Are they overrated?
Well, this gets to the heart of my question.
They're a little bit. Sorry, they're a little bit like maybe overrated. So the result, for example, what did you say about the team? You said that their results don't.
About Liquid?
About the
they have
resume.
the eye test and not the resume.
Yeah. Well, I think it's the other way around.
Yeah,
I think,
the resume, not the eye test.
They have the finals there. They made Legend in the RMR, but they haven't looked that good in those two tournaments. I like them way more in Cologne.
Interesting.
But anyways, what I was going to go into is with Vitality and Cloud9 looking shaky in the Challenger stage, has that shook anyone's faith in them being contenders for this trophy?
We've seen this before, and I think they will get better, and they will probably and sometimes actually the teams who play the Challenger stage get a bit of a buff because there might be some teams that get into Legends with not too much preparation, not enough actual play time, and they might just fuck up their first two matches.
That's like a kind of a funny way to paint Liquid as well, because we just talked about the slow start at Pro League. They're one of the teams coming in for the Legends stage, and we always know there's, as you said, 1 or 2, 3 Legends team who come in a week later than everyone else and just look slow.
Yeah, but how do we quantify that? Because I assume most of these teams have been boot camping. FaZe definitely, because some weird shit's been going on there.
And it isn't always it's impossible to predict, basically, because like Navi at Stockholm, for example, came in as Legends, and everyone knows that they start slow. Didn't even drop a map the entire event.
That's true.
So it's impossible to predict. Kind of just comes down to if they practice.
Liquid was
properly
boot camping in Europe for about a week.
Yeah, they're in the facility, right? I think Navi were in that facility, or at least some of them, because I saw Simple streaming from there with Bit.
Yeah.
So, and we know that they're displaced because the world's fucked. So, assuming that Navi have taken the time on a bit of a boot camp scenario as well. Do I have fucking ants in the table?
Make a tweet. Do you have mold on the roof?
What the fuck is this? These fucking termites on the show? What's fucking going on here? No Geo, look at this fucking shit over here.
Have you had room service at any point in the past 2 weeks?
I had it yesterday.
28 days.
I don't let him in. I don't let him in.
I make sure I open the
That
doors.
do not disturb light has been on for a while, Chad.
Yeah, look,
I noticed when I walked by.
I actually painted the ceiling black. It's not mold that came with the place.
But it does feel like the conversation is going to be similar to the one we had before Challenger stage, depending whether a certain team plays on the stage in front of the crowd or not. Right? Like,
true.
Who do you know that helps more?
For a team like Sprout,
okay.
I don't think they're ready to play on that stage. Guys like Stair, who's the star player, right? He doesn't have that sort of experience. Refresh has, and Zyphon was in Antwerp. They played the
quarter Stockholm,
but they haven't made
They
it to
didn't
the
make top
playoffs.
8.
but they have major experience.
Yeah, major experience. Yeah. So for example, if they have to play a couple of games there, they're gonna crumble. I feel like. I don't know about Mouse yet. They just played that one best of one. But backstage they looked really good. So I think that's for a lot of these things. I think, for example, if you put Mouse, and we even saw that Mouse played Outsiders in the Rotterdam tournament.
Yes,
right?
And
Outsider beat them in the semifinals, but now they play backstage in a best of one, and Mouse takes them down, right? So potentially that might be
see
the
what you're
difference.
saying.
For example, for this tournament,
they didn't get dumpstered.
I don't have a good feeling about Heroic for this tournament. I don't think Heroic will make the playoffs.
Fucking Cadian hater.
Okay.
Who do they play?
He's
They
another
play
player.
Outsiders in the first game.
A hard game for them.
That's
a nice test.
That's a good game, right?
By the way, Fame is the truth.
He's good.
He's fucking
Fame's good.
good as fuck.
Yeah.
Fame's
And
really good.
When I was watching him, I was like, the whole thing is like, can't replace a Kinder. All of James' teams are doing really well, and like it's clearly James who's a super strong IGL, but like he made Fame look like Yakinder, dude. Like I was so impressed with the plays he was making. He's not that level, obviously, but
I like how they play. We had an interesting conversation in the last episode when we talked about them and like their saving and how they play and so. So I want to get your thoughts on this because people say it's boring and it's constant saving and that's like they're playing more not to lose than to win. But then we were making the point of, well, for them, the way they play is playing to win.
Yes.
Because they give themselves like the best chance. And it seems like everyone on the team is like fully bought in.
Y'all are
I
fucked in
actually
the heads.
think they were playing.
Y'all are fucked
I
in the
actually think
heads.
they were playing slower when they had Yakinder.
Yes,
And Yakinder
that's
was
true.
so displaced from them sometimes that some of the rounds looked worse because of the way he was playing. But everyone more listening to the way James calls, I saw themes during whole T halves that made perfect sense to me. And this challenger stage actually made me like Outsiders more than I had a long time ago.
I have them top 8 for this
Yeah.
tournament. That they're gonna make top 8. And I also, you want proof of what we're talking about? Look at the game they played against. What was the 2-1 game against Fnatic? Look at Mirage, the second map, or whatever the second map.
Yeah, it was
Whatever.
Mirage. It was Mirage.
There was a lot of
Overpass and then Mirage. Yeah.
So look at that, and they won the game 16-14, right? And I had James. He was there, like at the interview with Heku. We could ask him questions and stuff. And he said something along. Someone else asked him that. He said, I have 1,200 games on HLTV. Like things have been working. Otherwise, we wouldn't be doing it. That's the best example. If they took more risks in that game, there's a pretty good chance they lose 16-14 or 16-13 or it goes to overtime or whatever. But because they pick their fights exactly as they should and kind of saved to try for the next round, they managed to close it out 16-4. So if you want an example of why they're playing the way they're playing and making those decisions, look at that second half, and I think it tells itself.
What do you think about the ants, Jason?
Outsiders Vitality's got to be the most boring matchup in Counter-Strike right now. I've casted.
All the saves, yeah, that's fair.
I'm
enough.
not saying it's not potentially boring.
No. I don't mind
But
Outsiders as a team
he's
in general.
talking about
The
the
matchup
matchup
specifically, because
specifically.
I casted them at Pro League, which was the save game.
Yeah,
and I casted
Vitality
them. I
have been
casted
playing
them,
like bitches.
dude. I casted them again here. The same teams. Outsiders Vitality just a couple days ago. It's
Yeah.
so fucking boring. I can't
There's
remember
so
a
many
single highlight
saves.
from the games.
Yeah, you're
So-
right. Because that Dust 2 game specifically, Backstream, was it Pro League or the RMR?
It was
Either
Pro
way.
League. It was fucking shit.
That'd put anybody to sleep.
We're at an hour and 45 minutes. Do you want to do let's do our 3-0s and 0-3s in the pick'ems? Because it's gonna be hard to kind
Yeah,
of do all of them.
It's fine. It's the major. I think it's okay if we go on for like 2 hours. You know, it's like
Yeah, I know.
It's just where all
unless
over
you're
the-
really tired, Jason. And
No.
he didn't work today, and he doesn't have media
I
tomorrow.
don't work tomorrow.
I just have to.
I'm going to see some tours.
I have to upload my pick'ems.
Nice.
I'm beholden to YouTube
Okay, why?
sponsors.
Oh, okay, fair enough. Good
Money?
answer. Yeah.
No, I'm not saying we'll go on for another hour. I'm just saying 15 more minutes won't kill anyone.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
but
true.
it's gonna take us 15 minutes to get through this. So I just.
All
wanted
right,
to
Jason.
describe
Then I
it.
shall begin now.
Just let me be the
If
fucking.
you-
Let me quarterback this
if
shit.
you
Yanko. Come on
persist.
now.
Yeah,
go
I'll
on.
be the long snapper.
You sick.
Is that a type of shit?
No, stand up as a position. It would be in Australia by accident.
A long snapper. We got a clean snapper. I know that one. A long snapper. I haven't heard that one before. Mate.
It's a position on special teams. Which
yeah.
what we are.
Fair
We're a
enough.
special team.
Yeah. No, we are very special over
Yeah,
here.
we're special right now.
I can't believe I bought fucking 16 beers.
I don't know, but
Appreciate that.
We've done 6.
Well, you
of
were
them.
counting on me, but I'm.
You're
hungover as fuck.
also adding in we're gonna be doing it next week the champion stage. So just save them.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
We'll
drink
have
those
plenty
beers.
of time. Mate, we could fucking, at this rate.
Mate, I think Matt and I and Malta went on that boat with like 6 of us. We bought like 40 or 50 beers.
That was ridiculous.
And only Matt and I were drinking. Yeah.
And I bet you finished them too.
I wasn't interested in drinking. I'm
Well, I thought we figured like everyone have like 3 or 4 beers. It was like 4 hours on the boat.
trying to think who else. Oh, Henry was with us, right?
Henry had a few beers.
Yeah.
But not enough to put a dent in 40.
That's true. There was so much food as well. We always have a buy.
We do that,
I mean, we did it with Kenny as well.
Yeah,
we had too much shit then.
We were like, we should get like a 12-pack of beer. And I was like, yeah, we need a bottle of vodka too.
Yeah.
And nobody drank the vodka.
That vodka, no joke, I'm pretty sure is still in the fucking fridge in Henry's place. That's but 2 years ago now.
I've left a lot of alcohol in hotels.
Yeah, I have as well.
Yanko's got a beer.
Oh, he's grown
He's
up.
joining the party late here.
Well done.
I thought we were saying the podcast is over.
Except he can't open it.
He needs you and the snus.
Say your first beer.
There we go.
Oh.
Well, the first beer
Wow.
today.
You did it with your eye socket. Nice.
We're almost in tomorrow. Surely that, like, I don't know, man. It's been like the fact this is only 4 days. You got here pretty early.
Yeah.
You were here mega early. I saw
Yeah, it
you
was all
posting shit like,
flights, dude. Like
what's going on with that?
I'm leaving on finals day because there's no flights on the next day.
What?
I had to fly like 35 hours to get to Toronto or something ridiculous because of
If you left on Monday.
Yeah, something insane.
Why didn't you leave? Why don't you leave on Tuesday?
I could leave on Tuesday, but I have like
But then you get home.
I mean,
you have to leave. You have to leave on
since
Sunday
you're here
again.
for the finals.
I had 2 days in between before this.
You've been on the road for like 3 weeks before this event, right?
Yeah, a long time.
And then we only get a week at home, and then we go to
And then, yeah.
Copenhagen for
Yeah.
the fall finals.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
that was the main.
That's
thing.
right.
Yeah.
So arena event to arena event.
Yeah.
That should be fun.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyways,
What's the play quarterback? Omaha.
Yeah, Omaha, Blue 42. I was gonna say 3-0 and 0-3 teams.
Oh, this is hard.
I don't know.
I had to make this video and I don't even know.
you can't.
We're
I have
helping, we're
to
helping
look
launders
at, I have
out.
to like look at which logo I like least. Sprout.
I think. Okay, I'll start because I actually think the 0-3 team for me. I think Fnatic is a really good shout for it. Just because I lost. I actually was surprised at the start of the Challenger stage. I was like, because I told you guys in the last episode that I wasn't have a lot of faith in them, and I was like, oh shit, I might have misread this team. Like I might have done a little bit of a misread. And then by the end of it, I wasn't like impressed again. Like after like the first 2 or 3 games.
Yeah, it was weird, right?
So it was like a very up and down. But I think in this particular, once you get to the Legend stage, these are teams that are going to be so much less forgiving
So-
than what they just experienced.
Do this. So other than like Vitality versus Na'Vi and FaZe versus Cloud9, what are the other mashups?
Okay, so we have
These only
Mal's
just came
Liquid,
out. Okay.
Spirit, Bad News Eagles.
These are so
Um,
close, and there's Big
yeah.
Sprout.
Yeah.
Sprout Big.
I feel big or Sprout. Whoever loses that
Could be
game
a
is my
0-3.
0-3. Yeah.
Yeah.
Outsiders Heroic. Furia Ents. Ents is also another one of the candidates for 0-3.
That was an 0-3 a year ago in Stockholm.
NIP and
But that was a
Fnatic.
surprise.
If that's true.
Yeah, it's fucked. Okay, that they're all so
Okay,
close.
who wins Sprout or Big?
Ooh.
I want to say Sprout,
What's
and I
the-
want to put Big is going to be my 0-3,
But it's a best of one, right? So
Big's going to win. That.
and they're going to play backstage.
Big's going to win.
Big's gonna win.
Searson's going to spank that ass.
Well, he's the better AWPer in that matchup. But player for player, if Lonks is real, right? Like if he's real,
I think he is.
well, if he's real, then they have a game. Like because Zyphon ain't gonna be fucking around. Stair seems good.
He's solid.
Yeah, I got to watch him in Pro League. Like I thought he was pretty good. So I don't know. That's a scary game. It has to be one of those matches where you have to pick the correct loser and then assume that they're going to continue to lose.
Yeah.
But if you go with Sprout, they're a high seed, so they will get. Well, actually, they
Yeah, but even the low seeds in this are dangerous.
And
It's like,
Buchholz doesn't factor in until
Third
round
round,
3.
right? Yeah.
So in the second round, they'll still get.
yeah.
Even if they're 0-1, they'll get like a lower seed team. But if you think they're shit, that doesn't matter because, well, you
shouldn't
know
matter.
who's the low seed? Vitality and Cloud9.
True.
So, if they lose,
Yep, true.
then Sprout will play one of them and then they will be 0-2.
Then
who's
it feels
putting
like you have.
Vitality as an 0-3?
It feels like you have to put Sprout.
Although Cloud9 has lost to Greyhound in the best one, so why not lose to Sprouts too while we're at it?
Yeah, but they're part of this.
Assholes.
They're on this hero's journey now, man. They're on this hero's journey
He's
now.
hurting. He's hurting.
I don't think
That's
you
the
can.
4 picks talking.
I don't think you can put Vitality 0-3, even if you think they're going to lose to Na'Vi,
yeah.
right?
I'm just made it for like how unimpressed I was by them.
Yeah, I don't know. I think Spinks is the reason that you should be unimpressed is because he's been a non-starter.
Nah, bro. For me, it was Dupree.
He's not a star player of the team, though.
No, but what I saw when I was watching Vitality a bunch is I felt like the individuals, the veterans, were making like really critical individual errors in terms of positioning, and I noticed it a couple times at Dupree throughout the event. I can't really remember all of them except for the one that happened today that I saw, which was on Vertigo in their series. There was a round late where he like decided to like the one kill happened on like a P execute from the opposing team, and he was CT side, and he pushed towards like the top of the stairs, like thinking that it was entirely clear, and just got like wiped out, and then got Spinks killed after the fact. And it was just weird seeing Dupree make that decision to be like re-aggressive in a situation where he didn't need to be. Like you don't need to re-aggress to go top boards after that's already happening.
Yeah.
And I think those like individual decisions, because I think tactically in some ways, I think like nothing's blowing my mind, but it's fine. It's just those individual decisions are just brutal in the current meta right now because it's just the way the game's being played.
Yeah, they have a lot of holes. I think Spinks has also just even become like a harder lurker than he was on Ents, and like I actually don't think he's that good at it. Sometimes he waits way too long.
He does
Like,
wait.
They all just seem so confused. Like, man, I was in the green room watching with like Maui and Maniac, and like even like Zywoo's entering on like a catwalk execute, and it's like, why?
Yeah.
Like you have Dupree and Apex on this team who are like the stereotypical like hard entry fraggers. Like send those motherfuckers. Why is no one else just taking the initiative to go in?
Yeah, I don't know. It's a bit of a like. Obviously, if we spoke about it a lot, it's been on the
Yeah.
broadcast consistently. But the confidence of that team is shook, and I think with the way that they get across the line today, it probably doesn't do wonders for the confidence.
Yeah, exactly.
Right, I think relief is probably the emotion that they've been feeling the most there. But I don't think I can put Zywoo in a 0-3.
I'm not actually putting Vitality as an 0-3. I just that would
It has
be
to be Sprout,
interesting.
man. How can it not be Sprout?
I feel like it could be
Because they
big.
can beat big.
Yeah.
Big, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
but you could say that about any team you'd want to put in.
But I think
I think-
Yanko is right. It should be as far as you can go is just one layer deep and try to figure out who the 0-1 match.
I think Ents is a real candidate for the 0-3.
Ents.
That's
yeah.
hard for me.
It's not impossible.
Especially because they're going to be playing Furia on the stage in their first match.
But like, what if Ents played against Sprout? Do you think they would just like? Let's say it was a 2-2
That's-
match and they played against Sprout.
That's the problem. Also, you need to look at teams and how you consider their map pools at the moment. And that's why I think Big is the decent 0-3 potentially. Like their dust. Historically,
I'm not going
it's
that deep
been-
for pick'ems.
Historically,
I'll do that for the matches.
historically, it's been
Dude.
really good, but they recently so and so, right? I mean, they gave up. They couldn't win a single T-side round in 12 rounds against the Bad News Eagles. How good can your map be? So
Guys, my pick'ems
And
are
they're
like
playing
a
with, like, a
10-minute affair.
stand-in.
I sit down, I do my
yeah,
pick'ems,
Jason,
I change a couple
okay,
of things,
yes,
and I'm not looking
so
at
that
map
when
pools.
you're wrong, you're just justified by not
Exactly.
really putting your
Dude.
thoughts
But-
into it.
Exactly.
Even though you do this for a living.
Look
that
at some
really
of the
does speak
names.
volumes
I don't do
about you
pick'ems
as a
for a living.
person and a
I was
professional.
considering not showing my face on YouTube again if I only got 4 picks. That's the position I'm in right
Close
now.
down the channel, it's been a
I
good
am
run.
showing up on the next day of broadcast with a clown mask. Or clown makeup or something just to freak
But,
Jason
like,
out. By the way.
I don't know, man. Like
I
I'm
fucking
looking,
hate clowns.
I'm looking at this Sprout
Fucking
versus
hate 'em.
Big game, right? And it either ends up on Vertigo.
That's too deep. You're actually looking at the veto.
It either ends on Vertigo.
This
Mirage,
was your idea.
or-
You brought us
Actually,
here.
I do this as well when I'm really torn.
Vertigo Mirage or Dust 2.
And I watch. You know what I
Wait,
also
should we be
do?
taking pick 'em
I
advice
look-
from Yanko?
I look at the.
Mr. Clown Makeup over here is already getting out advice like Halloween candy.
I look
I
at-
was bought in so
I
hard.
look at the matchup generator as well, right? So I see, okay, if they lose and they lose, who's playing who in the 0-1 game?
Yeah.
Right. I sometimes go all the way, man. I don't go to the 2-2s, but
I tried to do it for challengers. Nothing
I
made
do
sense.
the day one, but I let my emotions run over me. And Jason convinced me to pick the Brazilian team.
Oh yeah, sure. That's what
Fucking
it was.
0-3 nation over here.
That was the funniest thing ever. I saw that in the crowd.
I like that this is hard to pick though. This
I
is
do
good.
too. It's fun.
This is good. This is what
It's
we
a
want.
good- it's a good problem.
You know, I think actually picking teams to go through, I don't think that's that difficult. Like I would put their FaZe, Navi, outsiders. I guess you have to put Vitality. The reason I always want to put
You don't have to put
Vitality.
Vitality.
It's because of Zywoo, man. It's
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
he can.
He
What he
proved-
did today on the third map.
It's disgusting.
That's it. Like he can do that against anyone
Yes.
and win them the game.
Yes.
Like
Your
him and
hands are on my
Shiro,
screen now,
him and
Jack.
Shiro
I
and
told you, man.
Symbol.
I think they're termites.
yeah, I want to put Cloud9 for that reason as well. Shiro Exile seems to have started to wake up. Hobbit has been playing pretty good the whole tournament, and that makes them scary. So what's that? That's 4 teams already.
Put Liquid in there. You haven't said them yet.
Yeah, Liquid, and you can squeeze
And I put
Heroic.
Outsiders, that's 5.
Heroic
We need
Liquid.
2 more.
I'm not going to put Heroic. I don't believe in Heroic for this tournament somehow.
You don't think Liquid?
Liquid is
you
I'm
gotta
not
think
sure,
Liquid.
man.
Wow.
I'm not sure. Depends on who they play. Like, in the Mouse game, in a best of 1, that's perfectly winnable for Mouse.
But
Like,
but
You could almost say
but
that. For
I want to
all
say
those
I want to put Liquid in the playoffs because I feel like they we heard it in the interviews. Like
okay,
Ikeda was say-
in the Liquid Cloud9 match at Cologne.
but
Sorry,
Liquid
sorry,
beat them
Pro League.
Liquid beat them 2 times, even though the group stage game was meaningless.
Yakinder beat them 2 times.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay,
That's true.
So I want to extend that Shiro simple Zywoo logic to Yakinder. He's the only rifler that can literally do that by himself.
don't say Nico.
But it's way harder for. but it's
see,
way
we gotta
harder
put it in
for
the
a
podcast where Chaz
rifler
just
to do
trolling
it.
now.
It is,
So-
but he's
so
also
it's- so it's
he's
the-
also like top 8 in the world in consistency right now. Like
I think
it's hard for some.
I think at an event like this, I think that stuff from Yakinder is going to get exposed.
Here's an interesting one.
Oh.
I think that's possible, but here's an interesting one. Staven, his stats are kind of like that. So, but people don't really consider him a superstar player.
His stats aren't like Yakinders though. They're not as good.
Probably not, but he's the top 5 rifler this year, I think, or top 6. It's like Nico, Yakindar, Blame, Exile, and I think Stone is the 5th there, or the 6th. I don't know. I don't have 6 fingers. But my point being,
It's a podcast, so you can't see his 6th finger.
my point being, this would be a great opportunity for him, even if the team, I think maybe they'll be amazing and just make it 3-0 into the next phase, right? But this is where he can establish himself. He's already established, but with a superstar with a superstar performance, propel his team, like push them over the finish line, like Zaiwu did today, like Shiro did in the first phase. If you guys feel
I'm with you.
But Stown really never gets 35, 37 kills. He's just really versatile and the most consistent on heroic and the most consistent on LAN. But I understand why he's not looked at as a superstar, because he usually gets 25 kills.
He doesn't have the hard carry.
Yeah, he doesn't. And when I've watched a lot of his demos, he honestly misses a lot. He's just so good that he puts himself in position to get a lot of kills as well. But I don't think he's Yakinder tier.
But then even if we're talking about one player here getting the whole team through, whereas heroic is always about, at least in my mind, about having 3 players who tend to show up when needed, right? And it's not always the same 3 players. It always feels to be 3 separate players in each different occasion here. But why don't we have faith in heroic? Like, what is leading us to think that they aren't better than the field?
Because the results aren't as good as when they had Refresh. Like when they played Cologne and they went out in groups, that would have never happened with Refresh.
Yeah.
And I think that like Yabi's gotten better in the team, but the team is not overall better than it was with Refresh on it.
Okay.
Also, I think at the moment too, I think to have like confidence in a team to be able to make some of those deep playoff runs and everything, you need to have like an AWPer that you believe in. I'm not quite sure I'm there with
Cadian's in good form at the moment.
He's playing well at the moment, but I mean that's a turn from bad form. And
well, it's not about form. He's just not as good. As simple as I was. I mean, there's no debate there, right? Like,
but I mean, don't use those two, because he's not as good as like some of the other AWPers that aren't the 2 best AWPers in the world. Either.
Once again, their compensation is that Stown can
as
off
Shiro,
sometimes.
And Brokey even. I would take
Yeah.
So but this is the thing. We could go around doing this for hours. We don't know.
Yeah.
We couldn't pick a solid 7.
Here we go. Is Furia making playoffs?
I'm giving them a chance.
A gift.
Well,
you're gonna believe, you're gonna predict with your heart.
I actually love Furia, so like I'm a little bit.
Jesus.
Do you?
Yeah, I really.
They're
my favorite
hater over here.
I think Yuri and Quesarado are as good as
they're the real deal, baby.
As good as the SK, like
but the rest of the team
and
isn't.
fucking Cold. Like I really think they're that good.
I'll tell you if you love Furia.
Yeah.
Answer me this: should they remove Art?
No.
You hate Furia.
Wait,
that's
what?
it.
He thinks
this is a King Lear situation.
He thinks the art is the issue with Furia, why they'll never take that next step.
But yeah, I can see why. Because like they're built on the foundation of
bring Fallen in.
They're built on the foundation of the idea that they play as the underdog, so they compensate by being aggressive, so that they can beat teams that are better than them. And now that they are one of those really good teams, keeping that play style doesn't make sense, because they have to like play advantages to their maximum, and they don't play an optimized style, and that's why they have trouble in some of their really big games and trouble with consistency overall. But Art is it's the same reason I would say you can't cut Cadian no matter how inconsistent he is, because he's the identity of the team.
It's not the same, because the way Cadian, the way they play Counter-Strike makes sense, so that's fine. It's not like you can't remove him because he's the hardest soul of the team. If he's the hardest soul of the team, if they're playing shit CS, you remove him. I don't know what Art is, but they're playing shit CS, and he needs to be removed, probably with the coach or whatever. Bring someone new to lead that team and play.
I think
because I agree with you. Yuri and Xerato are as good as probably any rifler duo
awesome.
that you have. Picture this. Can you imagine a world, or do you think this, because you actually used Cold's and first name? Could you imagine that it wasn't Fallen, but someone else leading that team, and they're always stuck doing what Furia is? Furia has never won a Tier 1 event.
My
never.
only argument against that is that people can get better, and the team is still very consistent at their level in the top 10.
How long do you want to give them?
I mean,
they've had 5 years, launders. This core has been together since late 2017.
And if you look at how good they've gotten since then, they've actually improved. Like they've
improved in 4 years. Amazing.
But
Yeah.
so they made the top 8. They made the top 8 the last
Yeah,
two
that's
majors.
the thing. They have actually. This is almost like how hating on Navi for getting second place for like so many years.
But this is what I'm telling you, right? They made the majors at top 8, right? But depends. I guess depends on the perspective. You're saying it's a good thing. I'm saying that
They
with
could
the
be
players
better
that
than
they
this
have and
already.
how well Cerrado's playing, especially the last year and a half, he's been in tremendous form. That you're wasting him.
Okay.
Oh, 100%.
Okay.
Right?
Here's
Like
here's
they-
my main counter.
they
Okay.
have the
When someone
pieces, they
says,
should be
"Can
able
I replace Art?" My main issue is, who are you getting that's a better IGL than Art?
Anyone is a better
that's
IGL
not-
than Art.
but
I don't
Taco.
believe that.
But you need to be
Taco
able to
is a
have
better
an-
IGL than Art.
I don't think he's that good, to be honest.
I don't think he's great either, but just to the point. I mean, he's not amazing, but to the point how bad I think Art
Wait,
is.
wait, wait,
like
wait,
the
maybe
way,
wait,
the,
but-
how bad the way that I had this round, I lost my mind at Pro League. I think it was playoffs even or whatever, and they were playing. It was maybe even against G2, and it was they forced like they won 1-0 for them, T-side Inferno. They lost the second round. They bought the third. He had the other AK was on Yuri. They have the two AKs, and what he decides to do is just run up mid by himself and dry peek in the first 15 seconds of the round. Not even having the second rifle there, so they could trade, so they could peek the two sides. Not having anyone throwing any utility, for whatever reason. Like, I don't know, you could
And
argue
he's
when he wanted to
untradeable.
cat them. But yeah, he's basically untradeable. And his team is also pretty stuck after that. Like, the guys in apps aren't even close enough to react. Let's say that the opponents had a mid setup, and then maybe you can react. They're not close to do anything. You just walk up and die. It's like, this is your round. This is your call. Like, this is what you decide to do in such a huge game. I think it was something important. It was a playoff game somewhere. Maybe it was a decider map or something along those lines. That's why I said, like, you do this, like, get out of this team. Like, if I was his teammate and looking what he's doing, I was like, that guy, we joke around about it on the broadcast. It looks like he's just, how you do it in a Face-It game, like you just buy every round. How many rounds have you seen where he just buys a
does it
FAMAS
a lot.
armor, he full buys on an eco round to try to make a move, and then, nothing happens. The rest of the team is like in a normal half, and in the next round he has some shit gun, so he has to play aggressive again because he has a weaker gun and go for some moves. It's like, dude, just relax. I think I never heard someone explain it like you did. I think you gave a perfect explanation, like, even though they're not they're not an underdog anymore, but he, I think, more than others, has that mentality.
like
they
it.
have to like be that gimmicky and do like the crazy stuff,
Look, this is the problem with Furia. Is I kind of agree with Launders. Who do you replace him with? Because I can't come up with a name that would be better. And
We
then
don't know
on
that
top
scene
of that,
intimately enough.
Safe. Come on, man.
He's been doing good, no?
This event, yeah.
Yeah.
But otherwise, come on, man. Drop. Come on, man. I can make a better
I feel
team.
like
true.
I feel like when you look at all the different like young players that are across Imperial and Double Nation, like there's a really good Brazilian lineup in there if you mix and match some of the players in those teams.
100%.
Yeah, and, like,
100%.
It feels like it's like they're in the position that like
Even Fluxer.
NA was in from a while back, and even some like
Look,
European
Ozzy.
teams has been in. It's almost like that region's in like contract hell, where you can't actually build a good team because all the players are contracted and are gonna have huge
Yeah,
your
buyouts.
contracts for
Oh,
Furia.
dude, who's the guy on Fluxo? Fucking Lukowski.
Lukowski.
Yeah.
Bro, that guy is fucking insane. At the showdown, I was like, dude, this guy was in like a terror, bro. Like, I was like, everyone, I know what it would feel like to play against someone like this. They're terrified. Anything he peaked, his aim was going to make up for when he made a bad play, and 90% of the time he's making the most optimal play ever. It was like, fucked. And yeah, he got locked up. $400K, I think, to buy him. They wouldn't
Yeah.
pay for him, but he's worth it, dude. That
It was
guy's
one of
insane.
the crazy stories about the old Brazilians, like when that lineup was like kind of
Fluxo
descending.
paid $400K for it.
No.
His
He's
buyout is now 400.
Now $400K. okay.
yeah.
It's one of the old stories from those old Brazilian teams. Is like whenever they wanted to go get younger Brazilian players, everyone was like, "Oh, like MLBR with
Trying to
Fallen
make
one."
a dollar,
they're like,
yeah.
"Oh, you have all the money, and it's 500,000 to get a Brazilian player that's never played on
Yeah.
land."
It's kind of what fucked MIBR, right?
Right, it's reasonable.
Yeah, because they knew it was immortal, so they figured
yeah.
they have a lot of cash, so they just want to make them.
Little did they know Tommy's at the helm of the money there.
I'm not gonna
Jokes on you.
I'm not gonna throw this all on Safe, right? But I think that Furia were their absolute best when Henny was on the team because
Oh, yeah, that's a
Yeah.
fact, yeah.
Yeah,
And-
his departure is so brutal.
and it's like one of the worst career decisions. Like Henny, Device, and Kirby are maybe my top 3 worst career decisions of all time. Dexter
Yeah.
can join that list now with the whole leaving.
Tweet.
No.
Oh, leaving Spirit.
OG around, Spirit of fucking here. So
Okay.
don't worry about the tweet. But Jason, what's the time?
It is 12:08.
And-
I got one more question because we haven't touched on this
All
team
right,
at all.
all
I
right.
think they deserve a little
All right.
conversation.
We'll close it down after this.
Yeah, bad news Eagles.
So in terms of being the flash in the pan, I think that this team, right, definitely has the consistency and the best of ones to set themselves up in the pedestal, right? They've already proven it. It's not a fluke anymore. This squad here is legit in terms of just consistently taking the aggression, the firepower. Yanko's tweet about them being a strong CT-sided team, of course. And then if they can get a couple of rounds on the T side with a pistol, they can win games.
Yeah.
But if we're going to compare them to a Na'Vi, a FaZe, the top dogs, it becomes very difficult. If we get them into a game where they're, a best of 3 away and they're versus Sprout, they're a best of 3 away and they're versus, I don't know, fucking Big, they can win those games. But if they get a best of 3 away and they have to beat like a Vitality, it's hard to see that happen.
But they could beat teams like FaZe, Navi, Cloud9 in a best of 1.
Yes, I agree.
If they win their game against Spirit, that's going to be a fire game because both
Great
teams
game.
are like crazy and
Yeah, balls to
momentum
the
and
wall.
running around. That's going to be
Yeah.
entertaining to
Patsy
watch.
versus Rigon
Like
is
they
a
can,
sick
they
little
can
matchup.
catch, they can catch fire and just roll over. The problem is in a best of 3, it's harder to ride that momentum
Right.
all the way, and especially against better teams who will be able, on
They don't
T
have the
side
map
to
pool,
win
yeah.
rounds.
Yeah.
But their CT side, dude. Their CT side win percentage,
It's
the last
sick.
time I looked was 83%.
It's fucking crazy.
Holy shit.
That's mental.
That's in
Their
meta.
4v5 win percentage as CT is 50%.
Just because they trade immediately.
Oh,
like
dude,
it's
they're gonna have so many 3 to 12 comebacks. Hey,
Yeah.
Launders?
Yeah.
Launders
Don't
is
let me
ready.
cast these
Don't-
games.
Don't say he didn't warn you, but yeah, it's insanely good, and that I don't think that's enough for them to get to the playoffs unless they get some.
Well, they played
also
Gamer
luck.
Legion, right, to get through to this stage.
Yeah, they smacked him.
But so, like, if they had, like I'm saying, if they had like a Furia, or if they had a team like that,
But
they
Yeah, they could get the playoffs based on
their
draw.
opening game
Yes.
was
Yeah.
their opening game was against 0-0 Nation on stage, and sure
16-3
it turned
owned
out
them.
they're not that good, but they're not a team that's gonna be shit on the stage,
No.
right? Even though they're inexperienced,
they love it.
yeah, they love
thrive.
it. Like they feed off of it, so I think they're gonna be fine in that regard. But they need the luck of the draw if they're gonna do something.
Anything you want to say about News Eagles? Got anything?
I think they play too unique to be able to compete with the top teams. Where like I see it's like a style where it looks like they almost don't watch demos to come up with some of their strats, and it's like some of it works because it's like super unexpected. I just don't think it's going to work versus a team that knows how to cover enough options. Any of the top teams in a best of 3. So the map pool and then their brand of CS, which is just like it's just so foreign. I feel like it's just not going to work when they play the fully optimized style, but they can beat everyone in the middle of the pack.
Yeah,
Cool.
nice.
Well, thanks for joining us, brother.
Yeah, thanks. Appreciate
Thanks.
it. Thanks for having me.
Quick 2 hours done. All right,
Yeah.
boys. Let's go to bed and go to the media day tomorrow.
Cheers.
Good night. Bye.